to the republic, stand one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Good morning and welcome to the Board of County Commissioners meeting here on Wednesday, the 27th of May. Wednesday is not a typical day that we meet, but we have planned this for our budget presentations. My name is Andy Hunthausen. I'm the Vice Chair of the Commission. Commissioner Rolfe, who's the Chair, has another commitment, and he will be here as soon as he can. I'm joined by Commissioner Candace Payne to my right, and we have Frank Cornwell, who's the CFO, TJ Murphy from the County Attorney's Office, and Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer. And on this side, Brandy Grandy, who will be taking care of us today. Thank you, Brandy. Okay, there's a sign-in sheet up front, as well as agendas. Welcome, everyone, and those that might be watching on TV. For those that have looked at the agenda, we have a long list of presenters today that will be presenting their preliminary 2027 fiscal year budgets. And we've made approximate times there where we think they might land. But we're going to keep going as the presentations finish. We'll continue. This is obviously recorded and available for anyone to see. We'll have other opportunities. I think June 9th we'll have an opportunity to address the budgets again, as well as June 23rd, I think, is our first preliminary hearing on the budget. And then we'll ultimately make a decision in early July on the final budget. So there'll be many opportunities. And these presentations today will be archived online, and folks can get on and watch them if they'd like. All right, before we invite our first presenter up, Mr. Baltz or Mr. Cornwell, anything you want to say about the budget? Okay, all right. Great. Well, the Justice Court is our first presenter today, and Judge Swingley is here. If you want to introduce yourself and your team that's with you, and you have the floor, sir. Welcome. Oh, we might need you to push screen.
It's on.
Green. Oh, good. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Judge. Go ahead.
I'm Mike Swingley, Justice of the Peace for one of the Lewis and Clark County Justice Courts of Record. This is Paul Whittam. He is my head clerk and my right-hand man. I always say that Paul and I run that court together. I just sign on the dotted line. And that's actually the truth. We do run that court together. I couldn't do it without him. So a little bit about the Justice Court and what we do. This will be brief. And our numbers for last year, the case filings in the two Justice Courts have gone up every year significantly. Last year, we had 9,796 filings between the two Justice Courts. 1,940 of those were civil cases. 57 were small claims cases. We had 2,957 criminal filings, 4,056 other misdemeanors, mostly traffic, excuse me, and 786 formal cases. We had 904 of those criminal cases were felonies, and the Justice Courts do all the initial appearances for all felonies in this county, regardless of whether the Helena Police Department, Sheriff's Department, Highway Patrol, or any other agency files those with the county attorney. We do all the initial hearings, set their preliminary hearings, bond conditions, and then we generally keep those cases for up to 2 weeks before they are remanded upstairs to the district courts. We handle small claims cases, and those are cases where citizens can come in and ask for anything under $7,000 as a limit. In small claims court, you have to be suing the other person for something you can actually get back, some tangible item, money, lawnmower I sold you, et cetera, et cetera. It can't be something that the court compels the other party to do. No attorneys are allowed in small claims cases. We do civil cases. Our maximum amount for a civil case is $15,000. And like I said, we had 1,940 of those. You can actually sue in our court for a bigger amount. You just have to agree to give up anything over $15,000 regardless of cost. The reason that parties will come to our court and file, even if they're asking for more money, is that we can get our civil cases through the court system in about no longer than 4 or 5 months. And in the district courts right now, it might be 12 to 18 months to get those same cases on the docket. They're just extremely busy up there. We handle all of the misdemeanor cases that are filed through the Montana Highway Patrol, the Fish and Game, the Sheriff's Department, Motor Carrier Services, formal filings on misdemeanors from the County Attorney's Office, anything from the Animal Control Officer, and occasionally, as is happening now, we handle some cases from the city police when there's some sort of conflict between the officer and the judge, or some reason that we should handle it. And I had several of those last week. We do most of the initial appearances on out-of-county warrants and out-of-state warrants. On out-of-state warrants, we see the individual. We are mandated to apply the bond and conditions that any other judge has put on their warrants. That was a law changed by the last legislative session. And then out-of-state warrants, of course, the defendant has the opportunity to voluntarily extradite back to whatever state, but if they decide they don't want to do that within 30 days, an extradition hearing has to be set, and then we determine whether a governor's warrant is necessary to send them back to their state against their will. And those do happen frequently. We do those occasionally. We do the pick up and hold order bonds and conditions initially for parole and probation and parole here also, when those are frequently filed in our courts. We do have concurrent jurisdiction with the district courts within the county in like matters. And so occasionally we will be asked to go up to the district court and handle things like juvenile detention hearings, commitment hearings for mentally ill people, and other things. I did a commitment hearing last Friday for a mentally ill person that we needed to get to a facility to get treatment. And that was because the district judges were in jury trials or absent. And so we do hold jury and judge trials. Our jury trials have gone up year after year. I think this year we'll probably have a record number between the two courts. We're a very, very busy courthouse. When the numbers are put out, excuse me, at the end of the year by the Supreme Court, we are always just barely behind Yellowstone County, Missoula County, Gallatin County. We're generally fourth or fifth for our numbers, excuse me, and we have fewer people in our county than some of those do. We have one interstate, lots of those have two, and other high traffic areas. And so they do get more tourist traffic. And if we had those same conditions here, we would probably exceed most of those. Mental illness, drug and alcohol addiction seems to be the root of all of our crime in this county, or the majority of it. And we need to focus on sometime trying to address those issues if we want to bring these case numbers down. Other things that we do, as far as civil cases, we handle lots of landlord-tenant cases. We frequently do these. I have them every week. We also do orders of protection. If you want a restraining order, as people commonly call them, if you like one of those, you have to come to one of our courts and fill out the application. It's free. We have hearings, but we do. By the end of this week, I'll have had 4 hearings for those. And a few weeks ago, we had 5, filed in my court in one day. That is just a sign and symptom of the economy, of our other drug problems, mental health. It's all intermingled, and people end up losing their jobs because they've been arrested. They lose their place to rent because they can't pay it. It's just a cycle, and we see the same people coming through all of these different sorts of hearings and cases. So that's pretty much a summation of what we do and what the Justice Courts of Record do here. For those that don't know what a Justice Court of Record is, everything in our courts are recorded. And if you appeal to the district court simply reviews the record, everything we did in our hearing, and they decide whether the judge made an error, basically. In courts not of record, you get a new trial in the district court when you appeal up there. The advantage of the court of record is, one, it keeps the judge honest. Every single thing I say or do is recorded for everybody to hear. And second, the county attorney's office does not have to go upstairs and do yet another trial. So it saves manpower and time for that office also. Anybody have any questions before I turn it over to Mr. Whittam to talk about money?
Questions?
I have a question. We've been working on getting the Journey home back up and operating. What is your thought on that? Is that going to make your life better or the public's life better? Give us a little.
Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, the mental health issues in Helena are big, and they, of course, are connected to the drug and alcohol use. We have a significant amount of drugs in this town all the time. It's very hard to combat. I know law enforcement's doing every single thing they can to keep the numbers down, but we live on Interstate 15. It's a huge drug thoroughfare between Canada and Las Vegas and Salt Lake and other places. And of course, people in Helena get their supply that way. I think the Journey Home is going to be great. The more facilities we can find and sponsor to deal with this is fabulous. When I did the mental health commitment this last week, Warm Springs has a 60 to 90 day wait to get somebody there. And every county has the same issues. Everybody has somebody that they're trying to get over to Warm Springs. So my order was to find another facility in Helena or another town to help this young man until we can figure out what to do with him. The St. Peter's BHU is full. They're always full. There aren't any options really in this town for anything else. And so the Journey Home is a welcome addition in my mind. I'm very happy that they're trying to do that. I think it'll help.
Thank you. And I just a comment about your presentation so far. Thank you for that, because I think many of the people that might be listening or watching today don't have a full understanding of what the Justice Court does and the Court of Record does. So thanks for that overview and the numbers that you're dealing with. It helps folks get a better picture of how the courts work and how busy you guys are. So really appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Anything else for me?
Thank you right now.
All right. Thank you. I think Mr. Whittam will tell you why we need this money. I told us why. He'll tell you how much.
Good morning, Commissioners. Really, as far as what we've
Would you
asked for.
state your name, please?
Oh, yes, it's Paul Whittam. And really, pretty much in years past, we've kept like the same amounts on pretty much everything. Our biggest cost, I think, is our office supplies, other than like staffing, of course. And it seems like we don't have anything major coming up for this year that we're aware of at this time. We have a couple training, so the judges have a spring and fall conference that happens every year, and then there's a clerk conference that's in the fall that I attend. So those are always on par. I think what we're asking for is in our jury fees, maybe a couple extra $2,000, and that's for meals provided for the jurors. We've had jury trials that have been going later into the evening than previously, and so in years past, the jurors have just had to kind of forgo dinner. We take a lunch break, but then after hours, we haven't really been able to provide dinners. Recently, Judge Swingley and Judge Pisclich have ordered like pizzas and stuff like that, but I believe that has come out of their own pocket at that time. And so we're just asking for a bump up in the jury costs for those. And then I think Judge Pisclich also his court bought like snacks and things for the jurors, snacks and waters that we can hold in our jury room, in addition to meals when they do need a dinner. I think that's really all that I had.
Yeah, it looks to be a pretty status quo budget for the most part. It just has the normal cost of living increases in it. And any thoughts or issues with?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, status quo budget, not a lot going on. You guys do a really good job of keeping costs down, and your O&M rarely hits the level that you've budgeted. So yeah, I think year over year, this is a solid budget. You guys aren't asking much here. Rent went up, as we know, in the courthouse because of the security increase, but that is the only change to the folks within the courthouse.
Yeah, great. Okay. Any other questions, Commissioner?
No.
No.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, Judge?
I'd like to add one comment. The state law says that the courts are to take care of the juries. We have to take care of them from the time that the jury trial starts until it ends. Generally, our trials only go one day, and most of the time they're done by 6 o'clock. If we have to keep them through that, we are required to feed the jury and take care of them. And in the 16 years I've been here, I generally have just paid for that out of my own pocket. If we don't do that, we have to bring them back the next day, and that requires paying them one full day of jury cost again. It ties our courtroom up, I told you how many cases we have, and we need, any time we have a vacancy during the day, we fill it with hearings. And so it's something that happens occasionally, but we do need that money and a way to be able to take care of those jurors. It will save us money in the long run when we don't have to bring them back for additional days. And so that's all we're asking, $2,000 extra dollars. Our budget stays mostly the same. I mean, you get our people, our rent for our spaces and office supplies, and that's really all we cost the county are those things. So thank you very much. I don't think I have anything else.
Thank you, Judge. Appreciate the work that you do. Thank you, Paul. And please thank Judge Piscalis for us and his folks. All right. Appreciate it. Anything else, Commissioner? Okay. I think we're good. Thank you very much. Unless there's any public comment on this budget, any public comment? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here today. All right, as we said at the outset, are you waiting for more team members? Okay, so our next presenter is going to be Criminal Justice Services, and they are assembling as we speak. I think they think they're on at 9:30, but if they get here sooner, we're going to just jump in and keep going. So unless there's any questions, we can take a brief recess until they're ready to go.
Chair,
Yes.
I think we're supposed to wait till 9:30. Are we
We talked about that at the beginning. We're going to
push through?
keep going. I
Fair enough.
guess with you in a minute here, but all right, we'll take a brief going to reconvene, and we will start up again. Our next presenter is the Criminal Justice Services, and I think we have Director McBride with us. So I'll let you introduce yourself and the team, and you have the floor. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Kelly McBride. I'm the Director of your Department of Criminal Justice Services, and I do have part of our team with me today. I have Lindsay Weisner. She's our data coordinator. Dr. Emily Bueller. She's our data analyst. Jillian Denisi. If I get one of these names wrong, I'm going to be in trouble. Jillian Denisi is our behavioral health supervisor, and Bob Buzzy is our court services and diversion supervisor. So they're here. They have helped in this budget planning. They've spent the last couple of months helping me, as well as Frank has helped me too. So thank you. So to start off, a little bit about our department. Under the 2017 Public Safety Levy, we promised our voters that we would do a few things. I'm proud to say that we have done each one of those things and continue to do those things well. One is our pretrial services program. As of May 21st, there were 299, bless you, individuals that were actively assigned to pretrial services. This represented a total of 375 cases. So each person comes with often more than one case. In 2025, the program maintained a 92% court appearance rate, and a 78% of them remained law-abiding while they were on pretrial. We also have a behavioral health treatment program in the detention center. Our detention center behavioral health team includes a therapist, a licensed addiction counselor, and a case manager. Since February of 2023, the team has provided 7,312 behavioral health encounters within the detention center. From July 2024 to December of 2025, monthly encounters increased more than fourfold, from 99 encounters per month to 424. We also have an education and transition coordinator in the detention center. In 2025, there were 420 unique programs delivered within the detention center, serving 3,966 program attendees. Program participation steadily increased throughout the year, growing from 257 attendees in February to 415 attendees in November. That's a 17% increase overall. We also have an early childhood intervention program that is starting up in July. It's Camp Bright Horizons, and we are doing that with a contract we've provided to Carroll College. This summer, Lewis and Clark County will partner with Carroll College on Camp Bright Horizons, a research-based program for children of incarcerated parents. The program includes summer camp experiences along with monthly follow-up with the children and their caregivers. Now that brings me to the data, because I just threw a lot of numbers and statistics at you. And you can find those numbers and those statistics and more on our Lewis and Clark County website on the Criminal Justice Services page. Dr. Emily Bueller and Lindsay Weisner joined the department earlier this year and immediately began meeting with criminal justice system partners to identify data needs and opportunities. They have been analyzing and displaying meaningful criminal justice data on the county webpage while also providing deeper data analysis to our partners to support informed decision-making, system improvements, and public safety efforts. Moving beyond into the next fiscal year, I should add, we also have this was not one of the required programs under the levy, but it absolutely made sense and it coordinates with all of our programs. We have a misdemeanor probation program for individuals with behavioral health disorders. That program is called PASS, and that's been going on for several years. We also anticipate piloting a partner family member assault misdemeanor probation program and launching that pilot on July 1st. We have a bond review roundtable that is coordinated by Bob Buzzy to look at all of the individuals in our detention center who are in on a cash bond that maybe have fallen through the cracks. Maybe they don't need to be in the detention center, but would be better served in the community, in their jobs and in their homes with their families while they wait for their trial. And then we also have the CJCC, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, which will start its strategic planning in July, and our Citizens Advisory Committee, which is right now undertaking what's called the Pathways Initiative. They're looking at the pretrial system from call for service to trial. So everything, they're pulling it apart, they're mapping the system, and they're looking for gaps in where we can do better. So that's just a little bit about what we do. And now I'll move into the budget so it all makes sense.
Well, before you jump into the numbers, any questions at this point?
No, we have a lot of communication. The head of this department comes over about every 10 days and tells us what's going on. And so there's a lot of good communication, and many of the things she told us, I'm aware of. So thank you for what you do, Kelly.
Good, thank you.
So I'll interject something here just because it's kind of perfect lineup. We had Judge Swingley here prior to the Justice Court, and he mentioned that the majority of the people that he sees in his court often have a history maybe in substance use or abuse and or behavioral health issues, mental health issues. And saying that's one of the areas where focus may really help the system. And as you rightly pointed out, this is what we're doing. So it is complicated. We're working on it, yes. But it's also likely no matter the resources we put toward these issues, we may never meet the full need, but we're really trying hard. So behavioral health program in the detention center after incarceration planning,
yes.
And then working with youth of incarcerated parents, trying to break that chain of offending and get people off the treadmill of reoffending as well, those parents. So we're doing a lot. And then your engagement with the drop-in center, which is preventative in nature. You're going to
Add
talk about that.
Yes, I forgot to add that.
And also your partnership with the health department and both working with Many Rivers to get the Journey Home back open, and that is up and running now as a receiving center. So, and the mobile crisis response team is working in conjunction with you and our law enforcement teams out there. So there is an attempt to really work at making a dent in those issues that bring people to our systems. And so I'm grateful for that, but I just wanted to bring it up. It was kind of relevant to the last conversation. And
Oh, absolutely.
you're welcome to comment on that and then jump into your numbers.
No, you're absolutely right. We work with all of our partners, whether those are members of our Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, which includes public health and includes Friendship Center, includes the courts and the attorneys and everyone at the table. We work together. We do work with Many Rivers. We work with other nonprofits throughout the community, and we are just really proud to be able to provide a small amount of money towards the Our Place Drop-In Center. And we do that every year and get to work with them. I will also add our pretrial services program. We have one officer that goes to the drop-in center every Friday for 2 hours and meets with individuals there that are, quite frankly, just not comfortable coming to the Law and Justice Center. They might miss their appointment with their pretrial officer. We don't want that to happen. So our officers go there, they meet with them, do their check-ins, see how they're doing, and it's a win-win. So that's just another partnership that we have. I understand one of our officers is known to play pool with shoot pool with his, some of the folks while he checks them in. So just making himself human and doing that check-in, making sure they're doing well. So
That's great.
yeah.
Thank you.
So, okay, I'm going to move into the budget. And I thought this was, I just can't thank Emily and Lindsay enough for helping put together this presentation for you. Something they brought up is this is a real life thing. I won't tell you this person's name, but in March of 2026, there was an individual who was arrested and booked into our detention center on 3 charges. The judge assigned the individual to pretrial services at a level 2. That was based on the public safety assessment that was done. And a level 2 supervision means that they're going to check in with our office once a month. Great. The judge also put a $10,000 cash bond on the individual. What that means is the individual either has to come up with $10,000 to give to the court or come up with $1,000 to give to a bonds agent. This individual does not have access to those funds. I am not saying who this individual is, whether this individual should be in the detention center. I'm just giving you the facts of this case. I can tell you that from March until today, the cost to incarcerate this individual has been $8,885. That's county taxpayer money that has been used to keep this person in our jail. The trial is set for October. We know that oftentimes trials are pushed out, but right now we're looking at October. We can do one of 2 things. We can assign the individual to pretrial services and get rid of that cash bond. That would cost the community $837 total from now until October. Or we can keep the individual in the detention center from now until trial, and that will cost the county an additional $19,000. So I just kind of point that out to show, one, we have the statistics that shows our program works. We get folks to jail, and we also hold ourselves accountable for them.
Get folks to court.
We get them to court. Okay, thank you for that catch. Yes, we get them to court. And we do our best to work with them so that they don't get any new charges while they're waiting pretrial. So waiting for their trial. So I just kind of bring this up so you can see that the cost value of the pretrial services program. As we worked on our budget, we were very thoughtful across all things. Our personnel services went up 6%. We did not increase our full-time equivalents. We have the same staffing, but our personnel costs did go up $85,000. So we needed to look, what could we do? Where could we be thoughtful? So we decreased our operations and maintenance expenses by 8%. Our fixed charges, again, we don't have control on those. That's our rent and our IT fees, our insurance. Those went up 1%. And you can see on our graph the difference between 2027 on the top and then 2026. We stayed relatively the same with that cut to operations and maintenance. We do have 3 divisions. You met the leaders of those divisions earlier. We have our administration, which is responsible for all of our data, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, Citizens Advisory Committee, all of that admin stuff. We have behavioral health, which oversees the behavioral health team in the detention center, the contracts with Carroll College and Good Sam's for our place. And then we have court services and diversion, which does the bond review roundtable, pretrial services, and is the misdemeanor probation programs. So our overall expense changes, as I mentioned earlier, we did have an $85,000 increase to personnel. We value our staff. I know you value our staff as well. They're the reason that we're able to do the great things that we do. Operations and maintenance, we did reduce by $173,000. Part of that is because we had a grant to do our MAP Bridges program. It was called a COSUP grant. That ended in October, and there were some operations and maintenance things that were budgeted last year with those funds. Not having that grant anymore, those things have gone away. And then our fixed charges have gone up $22,000. Personnel services, just to kind of give you an overall breakdown by division. We spend the most on our court services and diversion program, second most on behavioral health, and then 25% goes to administration, which is, again, the data. Operations and maintenance, that's the one that we decreased quite a bit. I wanted to show you what we were spending, the top categories. Purchases and contract services is where we've allocated the most amount of our funds to. That's $207,000. We plan to contract with Justice Management Institute to do a strategic plan for the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. The Criminal Justice Coordinating Council met last night and reviewed the proposals, and they're in support of this contract with Justice Management Institute to do this. It'll be a 9-month strategic planning process. Carroll College's Camp Bright Horizons, that is a contract for $45,000. Our Place Drop-In Center is $40,000. We have a contract with Madav Communications to make sure everyone knows what we're doing. We want to be completely transparent. That's $24,000. Clinical supervision is important. We have clinical therapists in the detention center, and we want to make sure that we are providing them that clinical supervision that they need. Tyler Technologies is our case management system. NAPSA stands for National Association of Pretrial Service Agencies. We are halfway through our accreditation process, having our pretrial program nationally accredited, and the final payment on that is $8,321. I do want to add, Lewis and Clark County's pretrial services program is being recognized this year as a leading pretrial services program by NAPSA at their national conference in August. So pretty exciting. And then you never know what's going to come throughout the year. So we've budgeted $5,000 for miscellaneous purchases and contracts. Our fixed charges, as you know, we don't have a lot of control here. It's our rent, our technology, software agreements, insurance, and admin fees. And this just kind of shows you how that is split up. And that's where I'll end.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I'm happy to answer.
Oh, if I could think of something.
Okay.
Mr. Baltz. Mr. Baltz.
Hey, thank you, Commissioners. Very responsible and appropriate budget. I appreciate it. I wanted to maybe just take a moment, Commissioners. I know we're all aware of this, but when we think about the big picture of this operation and this department, it dates back many years ago when our community, our citizens voted to approve. We went out for a general obligation bond to renovate the detention center. And combined with that, we asked our citizens to approve what was called an O&M levy, an operations and maintenance levy for 15 years. And contained within, and it was approved by our citizens. And contained within that levy is funding in a category that we phrased as being jail diversion and risk reduction. And so that's a big part of the revenue piece for what's been accomplished now over the years. And combined with that, we went through a process, again, just to go through the history a little bit, we went through a process to obtain the building that's located on Fuller Avenue that we now call the Criminal Justice Center, the CJS building. And so we went through a partnership with the City of Helena, and we renovated that building and that space, including the second floor of the pillar section, which is where Kelly and her team are all located now. But that O&M levy approval from our citizens was a big piece of being able to get to where we are now several years later. And that was a 15-year levy. So we're a few years into that now. So just a reminder, big picture of this department and how it came to be and how we are now with this success we're having. So just wanted to mention that, Commissioners, as part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cornwell, anything?
Thank you, Chair. Just really good presentation. I liked all the slides and yeah, it was very good. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, very much so. Kelly, I think could talk for a long time about how important I think this department and the work that we're doing is and can be for our community. So we won't do that, but we could. And I'm just grateful for the work you're doing. Thanks for the great presentation and the responsible budget. I think we're moving in the right direction.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you being here today. How about any public comment on this budget? Any public comment? You don't want to force your team up to say a bunch of things. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
No forcing.
Thank you all for being here. Appreciate your work. Okay. Thank you. And I don't see our next presenter will be the County Superintendent of Schools, and she is not here yet. So in that vein, we will again take a brief recess. We'll be back as soon as we have our team together here. Thank you. Okay, let's reconvene. Welcome back, everyone. Our next presenter is the County Superintendent of Schools. Welcome, Superintendent. If you'd introduce yourself, and we will give you the floor. Yeah, make her green, and we're ready to go.
All right. Good morning. Katrina Cheney, County Superintendent. I'm happy to be here this morning for one more budget session for my small budget for my office. I did not bring anything for the screen because it's a fairly simple budget. Other than the COLA for our raise, everything else we kept the same. Misty helped me with this. I always appreciate her very much. And half of this budget will be for me, and half will be for the person who will be following me. So I just kept it the same for him, and we will go from there. But I don't have a whole lot else. So you guys ask away or.
So since we have you.
Yes.
And you are doing wonderful work out there, there are many people that may not fully understand what the county superintendent of schools does and how many people you impact and lives and where you work and all
I don't
that.
have
But
my
maybe
list.
just
My
give
list.
us a 1 minute or 2 minute or 5 minute overview of your world.
A county superintendent. I guess my favorite part of my job is being the administrator of 3 rural schools: Wolf Creek, Trinity School, and Canyon Creek, as well as Milford Colony, which is Orchard Creek School. So that is a total of about 80 rural school students, Wolf Creek and Trinity, K through 5th, and Orchard Creek goes up through 8th grade. So we have 5 teachers and let me think a minute. 1, 2, 4 full-time paraprofessionals that we could not live without. So Susan Goodgeesy, as you may know, former commissioner, is filling in as a para. Well, not filling in. She is a para for 3 days a week at Orchard Creek School because we went over 18 students. So when you get past 18 students in a rural school, you need to have an extra helper at least for a few hours a week. So 19 students. She's teaching civics and some language classes and doing all kinds of things with those kids. They love her and she loves them. So we were lucky to get her. Trying to find a paraprofessional in the quote middle of nowhere is not easy. So when I called her and asked about it, I was so excited that she wanted to take it, and that's been fun this year having Susan work with us. Wolf Creek School is the smallest number. I think there are 12 there right now, but fun little place. And I'll put in a plug. I need a teacher there for next year. My teacher there is moving out to Canyon Creek, where she's been there 10 years at Wolf Creek, moving to Canyon Creek to be a little bit closer. She lives in the valley here, and so I'm still looking. Teachers are hard to come by right now in the state, so that's my only crisis at the moment. So anyway,
I was going to say Canyon Creek Trinity.
Trinity has really grown. We have 3 full-time classrooms there. We added 2 classrooms when we got our COVID money, and it's just a delight. If you ever just are headed up to Lincoln and you just want to stop in sometime, let me know. I'll call them. But it's a fun happening place. 3 teachers, 2 paras, and then we have specialists that go out. I've been really fortunate with that as well. I have a wonderful school counselor. She's at 2 of the schools. One of my teachers has his counseling degree, and then a librarian that goes to all 3 schools, an art teacher that attends Wolf Creek and Trinity, and then who am I missing? Library, art. Oh, music. We have 2 music teachers as well. So anyway, I was fortunate to find all those folks for the last 2 or 3 years. And then that's one part of my job. I've attended 6 school board meetings in the last 2 weeks, evenings. And so one thing that the county superintendent does, one of our duties, is to take the oath of all the new trustees. And so I was at Helena School last night. And then homeschool takes a good talking to families that are often in crisis if they're pulling their students out in the middle of the year. And then we have lots of faithful homeschool families as well here that they send in their notifications every year, so I have to redo each summer. But talking with families and letting them know what their options are that's what I was doing a while ago, working on a new updated letter for this next school year. I have hosted this county spelling bee. I did not do that this year, but I have, I think, 10 years of my 12-year time here. And also transportation budget. I'm the, quote, transportation director for the county. So we'll have our, this is one of my, I also enjoy that actually, when all the transportation folks come in the summer and we approve all this, the routes. And then they send some financial things to me for their state money and county money. I don't know what else I'm missing. There are other little things along.
All certificates come to you.
Yes, so approximately 20% of the teachers every year are renewing their certification, and that it's processed. OPI processes them, but then it's a Montana thing. Certificates go to county superintendents and we certify. But I try to help the schools out with that by, well, let me back up a minute. I said 20% because every 5 years a teacher needs a new certification, needs to renew. So approximately 20% are every year are needing to renew there. So I send them a notice in January reminding them you need to have this done by June. And then right now there's the few stragglers, those teachers that just can't quite get it done. It's like, you got to get that in. So that isn't yes. It is. It takes a lot of time. It's a fairly easy thing to do, but it helped. I try to do it to where it's helpful to them as a reminder.
Well, back to the transportation thing, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, you think about how many miles of bus routes and how they have to be coordinated, and how much money spent on transportation in our county alone.
Our county does and state
Amazing.
Do a match to help schools with that. So transportation money and then retirement. That's another thing that I distribute from our tax dollars are to help with teacher retirement funds. And then there will be another one, right? So that's all new. We'll talk about that in September. But because I'm still learning on that portion, that third amount that we will be distributing. Think anything else? I have this list. Legal situations once in a while. There are things that come up in county superintendents may need to hear that. I've done just a couple of small things during my time. I've been pretty fortunate with that. So knock on wood. But anything else?
There's some coordination with Augusta and Lincoln school districts as well.
Do I have coordination?
I
do. I work with all the clerks, the business clerks of each school district. So that's an important part of my job is keeping a working relationship with them, because that money that goes back and forth, and every time I need them to help me with a teaching certification, they ask me to come up and, swear in their new trustees. And trustees have become fewer and far between for schools. It seems like since COVID, I'm not sure, we just haven't had any races, election for trustee positions. I mean, Helena last night had 3 new trustees and all of them were by acclamation. So makes it easier. It saves money on them, but it's just showing you we don't have quite as much interest in folks wanting to jump in there and volunteer for schools, which is a little bit tough. But we've got some wonderful trustees in the county. I mean, all the schools have just some great volunteers that really care about their local schools.
Good. Any questions, Commissioner?
Yes.
Would you talk a little bit about the way you very skillfully addressed the concern of the 5th graders at Warren School regarding their passage across York Road, which is not a county road and we have no control over it. And those little 5th graders were terrified of walking to school because there's no crosswalks, there's no blinking lights, and it's a 65-mile-an-hour road.
Well,
I looked at it and I came crying to you and said, fix this, and you did.
Well, that's because of Drew at Helena Schools. That's part of it, is having a relationship with these folks at schools. And I just said, what can we do to help? So he switched out of, even in the middle of the year, you can do that. It just takes a little bit of an act to change the bus routes during the school year. But I set that up to where we could add a route across the highway there, I guess, across the road.
York Road.
Yeah. And pick kids up to just to make it a safer transition. I'm not sure they all chose to do that, but it became an option for them. And I think that really helped some families know that they would be picked up there. And even, you're not, I mean, statutorily it needs to be 3 miles away, but if it's a special circumstance, and that we felt like that was, we worked it out for them. But you got a pile of letters, didn't you, from kiddos?
I had a stack of letters this thick from fifth graders at Warren School. And they were not form letters. These were handwritten in pencil by the students and eloquently regarding their issues getting to school and getting home from school. And
Yeah, I think especially in those dark winters when kids were coming across and, you know, it's people are going fairly fast through there. So we hope that there will be more that comes down the pike, you know, in the next few years, but it takes a lot to get a crossing when it's a state highway. I mean, state road, if I understand correctly.
well,
We have
but
those
you
crossings now out at Jim Darcy, you notice the little
Yeah.
blinking. So I'd like something like that right there if
Yep.
we hope.
we have to keep kicking on the door or nobody thinks about. But those little kids, those are somebody's grandchildren. What if my grandchildren, one of them, they were crossing and somebody got run over by a car
Oh.
going 65 miles an
Well,
hour?
we have had a couple of
And
bad things out that way.
that would be really, really bad. And if we can find a gentle way to fix it, and that's what you did, thank
Well,
you.
You are welcome. But I thank those transportation guys. I mean, there's just some great folks out there that listen to us. So anyway, well, thank you guys for all you do. And anything else?
Thank you so much. Appreciate
You bet.
you and all your work and explaining it to us.
Fun job.
Those that might be watching.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if you wouldn't mind, it's just a question I was wondering about. I was reading your narrative, and thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
In your time here, has homeschooling been accelerating, or is it kind of maintaining?
It's
a status
accelerated.
quo?
No, it definitely. I believe there were just right at 400
Mhm.
students. I don't know as far as families, but about 400 students 11 years ago. Then it shot up, you know, of course, during COVID, leveled off a year or two, and it's back. I think it's over. Well, by the end of this year, it's well over 600 students and that a lot of folks don't realize they're supposed to do it every year. I mean, I try to pass that word along. There's only one of me, but keep trying to tell them. And then, I mean, I went to something. I was a judge at a science fair recently for homeschools, and my mom came up to me and she goes, "Oh, you know, I haven't turned my form in yet this year." She's been homeschooling for years, and she's got 4 kids. So there's several different situations that go on where I know that there are more than what I have. I mean, quite a number more is my guess.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and then if students are under 7 or over 16, the families are not required by law to turn in anything. So if you added those students in as well, I'd say we're pushing well over 700. That's my guess, over 700 students in our county that are being homeschooled.
Wow.
So it's a lot.
That is a lot.
But Helena schools, this is something we've talked about for a long while. And that's the letter I was writing. If they attend a quarter of the time in Helena, if students do, they can receive some services like Peak and Exploration Works has a science school for kiddos. So that way Helena gets some dollars if they're a quarter time, so they would get a quarter of the money. But many states hire teachers, and then they would receive some money that will help homeschool families. And I think it would be it's just something I'd like to see in our state as a win-win for families that have reasons or want to homeschool, but the school itself could receive some money if they were working with the families a little bit more. We just don't see that a lot in Montana. It's just not something we've done yet. But so many families are moving in from out of state, so I've heard all these different situations about how, well, you know, we received this much money, or we worked with the schools and they received money and we did too. So I think we'll see some changes in the next few years of how that's done, and hopefully it's advantage for the students is mainly what I'm looking at. So I'm not sure how a parent can know everything in high school. You know, how can you be a specialist in science, math, etc. when you're homeschooling? But the online schools really do. There's some really high class online schools now, and they're very competitive. So students families that are taking advantage of that. I mean, some students are graduating at 16 and 17 and going on to college and are doing well. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's just my thought.
Another curious, people
Oh, no,
might
go
be
ahead.
curious about, it's homeschool students. Are they able to participate in extracurricular activities?
They are, though.
Theater or
That all
athletics?
changed 2-3 years ago. So yeah,
So they can, okay,
there are some,
if they choose.
right.
And then
And I'm
I
not sure
think
how many are choosing to
some
do that.
organize homeschool activities between other homeschoolers too, right?
Absolutely. We have quite a lot of that in
Yeah.
the county. So there's some neat things going on between some homeschool
Yeah.
kids,
Great.
athletics as well as academics. So anyway, and
Thank you.
I don't know nearly all of them. So all right.
Thank you so much. How
You
about
bet.
any public comment on this budget? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
again.
Have a good
Appreciate
day.
the conversation.
You bet.
Thanks for being here. All right. It looks like we have our next presenters in the room. Wonderful. Public health. Welcome. Health Officer Neiman. Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Brenda Neiman, the Director of Lewis and Clark Public Health. Boy, you've had an earful of really amazing programs that are getting funded, and I hope to be just as wowing. Is that a word? Okay. All right.
Today it is.
Today, the word is wowing. All right. So a very brief department overview to begin. So the health department does really important work in several areas within this community and the impact that we have on residents in the county. So our community health promotion programs are WIC, home visiting. We added universal home visiting here in the last year and a half or so, which is something that we hadn't been able to provide. That's a program that's being funded by grant dollars at this point. We also have our chronic disease prevention programs, chronic disease, including tobacco prevention and cancer control. And then a lot of really great behavioral health systems improvement work, including suicide prevention and substance misuse and opioid prevention work. Those are many of our programs that are working within that umbrella of community health promotion. Our environmental health services are dedicated to safeguarding public health by preventing contamination of air, soil, and water with pollutants that can threaten human health. These programs oversee various areas, including on-site wastewater management, subdivision review, air and water quality monitoring, enforcement of community decay, and regulation of junk vehicles. And we also do a lot of really great education work connected to the Superfund site in East Helena for lead abatement and education. And then we have our bucket of disease control and prevention programming, and they focus on safeguarding the public against communicable disease, administering immunizations to individuals of all ages, offering nursing services to rural schools. It was really great to hear from Katrina Cheney just before I came on to present, because we do provide some school nursing services to those rural schools. And so that's a great partnership that we have with the schools in the outlying areas. We also conduct inspections of restaurants and other licensed establishments and equip the health department to respond effectively to public health emergencies. So in a nutshell, that kind of summarizes the work that the health department does on behalf of the residents of this county. For you, for consideration today is our budget for fiscal year 27. This budget has been reviewed by and approved by Lewis and Clark City County Board of Health, as well as the Water Quality Protection District Board. Both boards do recommend the respective budgets to the Board of County Commission for approval. Just a few highlights from the budget for fiscal year 27. Our health mill, which includes, so our budget is broken into three pieces. It's summarized for you in one summary, but we think about our budget in three distinct parts for the purpose of operations and management. And so the health mill is the first piece of our budget. And this includes funding that allows the health department to do foundational public health services and provide that administrative support for the work of the health department. The health mill those are property taxes that are collected from all the residents who own properties in Lewis and Clark County. The second element of our budget represents all the grants that we receive to do the work that we do. So in the coming year, we will be receiving 21 grants, which is an increase of 1 grant from fiscal year 26. And then the third piece of our budget is the Water Quality Protection District. This is funded by fee assessments on properties within the district boundaries. So those fee assessments are collected, and then that revenue is then used to do the work that the Water Quality Protection District does. So in summary, our total revenue, which includes property taxes, assessments, fees, fines, charges for service, and grants, so all 3 of those elements of our budget added together, our revenue will equal $6,632,585 for fiscal year 27. This is an increase in our revenue from this year of $137,000. I'm just going to take a second and break down our revenue for you, so you can conceptualize how we have probably one of the most complex budgets because of the varying revenue sources that we have. And so 33% of our revenue comes from property taxes right here in Lewis and Clark County. So whether that's the health mill or the Water Quality Protection District assessment, that funds 33% of our revenue. Federal grants that we receive to do our work represents another 33% of revenue that we get to do the work. And then state revenue. So these are funds that come from the state of Montana in a variety of ways, usually through task orders or grants. That equates to about 12% of our revenue. And then 22% kind of falls in that other category, which is fees, fines, charges for service, and things like that. So, in other words, I say that as a way to try to describe to you the variety of revenue sources that come in to support the work that happens in the health department. So for fiscal year 27, we will be ending fiscal year 26 with a cash reserve. That cash reserve is projected at $1,494,449, which, if you do the math on that, equates to 183 days of reserve. We aim for and strive for 90 days. That's best practice, as Frank has emphasized for us, that 90-day reserve is what we aim for, and we will be ending this fiscal year at 183 days. We will be using some of that cash reserve. We're anticipating that balance will be used in the mill section of our budget to balance the budget. We also continue to be uncertain about federal grant dollars. Last year, we experienced quite a bit of turmoil around our federal grants, and I think so far we've not had significant impacts because of changes in federal grant dollars. But we still have some uncertainties of what's happening in the future for the federal dollars that are available for public health. And as a reminder, we rely, it's 33% of our revenue that we rely on from federal sources to do our work. And so in order to kind of give ourselves a little cushion or be prepared, I guess better said, we want to be prepared for the uncertainties that may come or may not come. And so in order to be prepared for the unknown, we have added about $560,000 into fiscal year 27 budget. And that is, you can find that in the line item contracted services within our mill budget. And we have done that so that if we need to maintain services, if federal grant dollars are pulled without notice, we had a situation like that happen just this past year where our suicide prevention grant, we were given no notice that funding was ending early. And because we had added some additional funds into our budget, we would have been able to maintain or sustain that staff person at least through a transition period if that funding were to be pulled, with that federal funding were to be pulled. And so that's the intention of having funds within our budget that right now are on that contracted services line item, but can be made available if something like that were to happen again in this next year. So we're grateful that there was an enormous amount of advocacy that occurred and the federal government reversed their decision, and we ended up not having to lose that grant funding. But, we were prepared. We were prepared, and we would have been able to take care of that staff person, and we would have been able to maintain the work that staff person was doing if in fact that grant would have been pulled. And so we're using that same strategy again in fiscal year 27, where we will have some funds available if we are faced with that reality in this next fiscal year. Our Water Quality Protection District will also have cash reserves ending fiscal year 26. And they are looking at about a 241-day reserve going from fiscal year 26 into fiscal year 27. They also will be using some of their cash reserve to balance their budget for fiscal year 27. So some highlights from our expenditures. Our total expenditures for our full budget will be $7,213,925. This is an increase from fiscal year 26 of $20,617. Our total FTE is just over 44 total FTE for the health department. And we do not anticipate any staffing changes from fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 27. We built the budget for our salaries to reflect the regular step increases, longevity, and proposed matrix adjustments of the 2.7 cost of living increase and health insurance premium increases as well. Our fixed expenses are estimated. Our personnel is the first fixed expense that we're looking at, and we're estimating that expense at $4,268,085, which is an increase in this next year of $238,683. Other fixed expenses include rent and IT. We're anticipating $779,014, which is an increase of $6,783 from this year. Our health mill continues to subsidize and match funds as required. So for our licensed establishment program, and this is a program that is required by law in Montana statute to do the licensed establishment inspections, restaurant inspections, public accommodations, pools and spas, so forth. We receive some fees from those business owners that are collected, which helps to fund a small portion of that program. But we have to subsidize using our health mill dollars at a tune of $288,011 in order to properly fund that program and make sure that work gets done. And then we have a federal grant, the Maternal Child Health Block Grant. These are federal dollars, flows through the state health department and then down to the local level to do work related to maternal and child health. That grant requires a 75% match. So $49,350 of that of health mill dollars will be used to match that particular grant. Our capital improvement plan, we will be depositing $30,000 into our mill CIP and another $13,000 into our water quality protection district CIP. These funds are these are the funds that we need to be saving in order to replace items that are listed on our capital improvement plan, mostly vehicles. We do have a couple of large pieces of equipment that we have on there. It allows us to save the money now so that when those items need to be replaced, we have money sitting in the CIP to replace those items. However, we are not expecting any expenses in fiscal year 27 out of our CIP. So we'll be contributing in, but not withdrawing any funds from our CIP. So in conclusion, I just want to point out our long range planning goals. So the Board of Health and the staff at the Health Department over the last several months have gone through a process of updating the Health Department strategic plan. This is work that is required of the Board of Health, and it is also a requirement of public health accreditation. However, we all know how important it is to do long-range planning. And so I'm just wanting to highlight for you the 4 goals that came out of our strategic planning session and the strategic plan that was adopted by the Board of Health at their April board meeting. The first is strengthening the financial health and sustainability of the Health Department. The second goal is delivering exceptional customer service across all of our services, public health services. Goal 3 is strengthening operational excellence to support high-quality public health services. And Goal 4 is fostering an engaged, supported, and high-performing public health workforce. All of these are in alignment with the county's 4 goals, which are customer service, long-range planning, communication, and managing resources. So we're excited to be able to dive into a new strategic plan and continue to do the great work that the Health Department does, looking at ways to continue to be excellent, looking for ways to elevate the work of the Health Department so that we can have greater impact for the people who live in this county. And with that, Commissioners, I am happy to answer questions you may have.
First one is, could you please introduce the fancy people you have in the room with you here?
I absolutely will. Thank you, Commissioner Hunhausen. Today with me, I have our operations manager, Fred Sargason, and the magician that behind the budget, Heather Baker-Palmer. Would not have the budget in the shape that it is in front of you without these 2 individuals working alongside our county resources as well to put this budget in front of you today. So a big thank you to those 2 sitting there.
Great. Thank you very much. Commissioner, questions? I don't have any questions about the budget. I think you did a really great job explaining it and going over it, and your magician has done nice work. I just want to comment, though, on kind of then and now, where we were just a few short years ago compared to now, and the health of your budget and the health of the system and the reorganization that happened, some of the pain that you went through, but just really proud of the work that you've done. And Frank, really appreciate the work you've done with Brenda and Mr. Baltz as well. But really come a long way. And even in challenging times, looking really healthy and being able to provide really important work on the ground for our community. And so just really proud of you guys and the work that you've done and where we are now. So thank you so much. Just want to make sure you understand that it's recognized, the hard work that's happened the last few years.
Yeah, thank you. It was only 2 short years ago, fiscal years ago, that we were sitting at 17 days of reserve. And very uncomfortable with where the revenue and expenses were with the health department as a direct result of kind of the changes in funding that occurred after the end of COVID funding, essentially. So trying to make that transition out of COVID operations with additional funding back into normal operations. That was a very challenging time, and I'm also very proud of the health department for withstanding those challenges and continuing to do the work in this county and for the people of this county, regardless of the budget challenges that we were experiencing. Very proud of the health department's resilience through all of that. We did have to reorganize, and we did have to make some really hard decisions about staffing. As you can see from the budget, staffing is the lion's share of our budget. It's because we can't do the work that we need to do in this county without the people, without the technical experts and the public health professionals. And they were very resilient through those couple of really hard years. And I feel like we are back to a healthy budget and back to a place where we don't have to worry about the funds. However, I think that that was a kind of painful lesson to learn, that we always have to be watching carefully and planning carefully. And those transitions in time are a really good example of not taking your eye off the ball. Not that we did. I think that it was a case of not being able to see around the corners, and it hit us pretty hard, not knowing what to expect after that transition out of COVID. And so I'm glad to be back in a place where we are able to comfortably do our work. One of our challenges remains, and that's facility. So I'm hoping in this next fiscal year, we're able to come to a conclusion on how to better outfit the health department with a facility that meets the needs of the great staff that we have and the important work that we do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking about all the presenters this morning and all the great things that we do. And this county family has, we've got a lot on our plate and doing a lot of great work in the community and doing it well, and with those goals in mind, where we're trying to really be stewards of the taxpayer dollar, as well as providing the best service we can to the community. So thank you very much. Mr. Balt, or Mr. Balt and Cornwall, anything you want to speak to about this budget?
Just a comment that our financial folks will also accept being called financial wizards, as long with magicians.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of work, very complicated budget. I know you guys work very hard year round on it. It's not something that you could put down and kind of rest on it. So I appreciate all the hard work. Thank you.
And you do have one more team member here. He's here in another role today, but welcome to introduce him in his health department role, if you'd like.
Yeah. Jacob Miles is here in his role in the community as a community member, but does some really great work for the health department around opioid prevention and safer communities suicide prevention work. So we're grateful for Jacob's work in the health department. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jacob. All right. Anything else, Commissioner? Okay. Thank the team for us and appreciate your work. Yeah, it's good. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. We have burned right through our morning responsibilities here. We on our schedule, our next presenter is at 1:30, and that is the treasurer, clerk, and recorder. So anything we want to bring up prior to taking a recess here? Okay. Oh, thank you. Any public comment on this budget? Any public comment? Okay. Thank you very much, Brandy. All right. We will go into recess until 1:30. We'll see you back here. Thank you.
We're going to call the Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 meeting of the Lewis and Clark County Commissioners back to order after a lunch break. I wanted to apologize for being gone this morning. Had a medical situation in the family I needed to take care of, and maybe have to leave a little bit tomorrow as well, but I will be here as much as possible. Our first presentation this afternoon is for the treasurer and clerk and recorder.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. All right. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust this a little bit more. Okay. Before you, I have our 27 operating budget proposal for fiscal year 27, and I'm starting with my elections department. I do want to keep in mind that our election cycles run every 4 years. So basically, this is the proposed for 2027. You really have to compare it to 2023, which isn't included in the budget packet, just to let you know, just because how federal elections run. So this coming year, we're going to have a midterm general election, which is different than the past years that you're seeing up there. We had a presidential election for the general for our fiscal year 25, which actually happened in November of 24. So there's a little bit of difference. Most of my budgets are sitting fairly comparative to the year before. You'll see a little bit of decrease in salaries. That decrease is really due to temporary salaries decreasing, not needing as many temps for the general election as I needed for the primary election and some of the other elections we had last year or in fiscal year 2026, which is current. Part of the other salaries is our employee health insurance, and I believe you know of the COLA increases that were proposed also are included in the budget. There's also some longevity and other things that have touched salaries. We did budget a little bit more this year, expecting to have to work on Saturdays before a federal election. That was with the legislation. There's a court order. There's now an injunction. We're not sure where that stands, but I did budget it for it in this coming year. So if you don't have any questions on the salary side, I'll go ahead and skip down to our O&M, or our operation and maintenance for our elections. There is one thing I'm looking at this year is applying for a HAVA grant, which we have done in the past. That's a Help America Vote Act. That is to help us with election security and integrity. Sometimes it's to help us with ADA voter, getting them machines that are capable for that will help them, assist them to vote. Not going to do anything with counting ballots, just marking the ballot itself. So we are looking at a HAVA grant that's around $39,000. We have to pitch in about 20%. I've budgeted a little bit of that in minor equipment. I've also budgeted into our publicity subscription dues, and that would help our IT with some network type security. Technological infrastructure type security that is way above my head for sure. And then the other part of that, I also budgeted the HAVA contract or the HAVA grant in our contracted services. So even though some of those line items would have decreased because of the rotation of an election, they've increased because of asking for those HAVA grant to be included in there if we are awarded that grant. And if you look at my O&M budget, you'll see that fiscal year 26, I went from, let me move the screen here. So I went from $629,061 to $515,485. Again, part of that is due to the fact that we are on a different election cycle for this coming budget year. And then part of it is that we are expecting costs to increase for our election judges and getting some contracted services in. We are lacking on election workers. Some of our election workers are aging out and not able to assist as they have in the past, but we're not seeing a lot of younger people come in, whether they're just freshly retired or no longer working for whatever reason. So we are having to look at other options, meaning that we may be using contracted services to hire out people to help us with that. So that budget is sitting a little bit more, less than last year, but higher than previous years. Plus, again, we are looking at a general election. We also are looking at having the city have a levy on the November election. But there is also questions on whether we'll be having any additional elections besides our normal November election and our May of the following year, which is usually our school and special assessment or special districts, excuse me. Below that is our fixed charges. And we went from 189,000 in fiscal year 26 to 161,000. We lowered our amount going to our CIP. We have money saved up to purchase copiers and things like that, but not the need to purchase in this year. We're got enough savings. We've kind of held off some of those equipment purchases another year, so that if we don't need it, we're not going to buy it, and we don't need to save for it because we have enough saved up. So we're holding it for next year, not this coming budget year. So our total budget for our elections department is 1,269,163, which is down about 150,000 from the previous fiscal year. Do you have any questions for me on that? No? All right, great. I'm going to just move this down a little bit here. Just 1 minute. Technical difficulties here. So my next department is my records division. And I'm going to pull those pages here. So the records department is responsible for recording and filing pretty much everything you do with your land, homes, mining claims, a bunch of things, birth certificates, death certificates, everything is recorded in that office. Our salaries went up a little bit. Part of that is due to employee health insurance. And again, we have longevity of staff, so they are getting wages and increases, hopefully, with the proposed amount. And then the next areas are operation and maintenance. We had gone up just a little bit this fiscal year from last fiscal year. Last fiscal year was at 48,440. This year we're asking for 51,405. We went up a little bit with our minor equipment. We have a person that had a review of their workstation, and we're looking at possibly having to replace that. So that's a little bit more. The other thing that went up is our contracted services and just a few other minor things. We also went up in office supplies, which was in my 26 budget, but the state quit covering the birth and death certificate paper, and there's some other costs that we're incurring that we want to make sure we have enough to cover. And then I'll just go ahead and go down to our fixed charges. Excuse me?
Oh, I was going to ask a question, Mr. Chair. Good. I'm just curious about the digitization process, and I know that the last several years been working on that.
We have, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hunhausen. We have digitized our books that were back from the 1800s to, I believe, about 1970 something. Those are now an image on disk or in a file, but those are not indexed, meaning that someone who comes into our department, they still can't look up that by knowing, there's no way to look it up. Basically, the image is there, but we have to index it to say if you're searching for this address or this property, it will find that picture or that image. So that part has to be done. We have some options that we're looking into. We've looked into AI to see if we can get like a software that can do that for us. There is a ton of records that would have to be done. If I remember, it was over 500,000. So it's going to take us a long time to do it manually. But we are looking at getting that done. We are also looking at integrating those pictures into our current system so that someone who has the ability to get into our current system could just look those up. We don't want to have someone using our thumb drives to, well, we don't want to lose them for one, but we also don't want them to put them into machines that they shouldn't be and things like that. So we are looking at some options to get those all complete. The first step of the digitization was to get the actual images done. And that's where we're at right now. And we are slowly working on the indexing. We have a title company that's willing to possibly help us out with that. They do their own records, and so they have offered to possibly help us get our records done at the same time. So, which would be very handy for us, and it would also save our citizens a lot of money. So we're, like I said, exploring some options on how to get that done.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. In our fixed charges for our records department, our budget has pretty much stayed the same. It's just a little bit more, about $2,000 more due to just the cost of things increasing. So my total budget for our records department went from $372,139 to $402,436. So a slight increase on the proposed budget. Most of that is due to salaries and the payroll side of things. Do you have any questions for me on the records department's budget?
Excuse me, yeah, what was it, most of the increase?
Most of the increase is due to personnel.
Personnel.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, I see it there now. Thank you.
Yes. All right, let me move this back and all right, the next is our property tax budget, and that is our property tax department. We have 4 people in the property tax department. I also have 4 people in the records, and I forgot to mention that we have 4 people in our elections department, although our elections department does end up with about 30 to 45 temps for our school election. We'll have somewhere between 30 and 60 temps for our primary that is going on right now, and most likely for our general. Plus, we end up training approximately 300 election judges to help us out on the few days before election or election day at the polling places, and some also help us here in the building. So out of the property tax department, our salaries budget is slightly more. Again, that's due to longevity of our employees, our employee increases, and then, of course, the cost of health insurance has risen. The next section is our operation and maintenance. So for that, we are looking at a decrease. Last year, we added an FTE, so we had to purchase a desk and chair and floor mats and all those things that you need to actually run in an office, you know, for that person. So we had more expenses last year in our minor supplies, or our mining equipment, excuse me, and in office supplies, knowing that we would have to get that set up for that person. Our postage, I did budget for less. We had we have to prepay for postage on our tax bills, and our supervisor was out for a month. Someone else had taken over. Actually, it was myself after the general election. The vendor told me the bill wasn't paid, so we actually ended up double paying that bill, and then they just gave us credit. So this year, in my fiscal year 26 budget, my expenses will be way lower than expected, not realizing that they had kept that money and not returned it to us. And that also affected my printing and binding in 25. There's no actual expense in there. Same with the postage. Postage had it. Sorry, I needed to go down to, let me see here. I think it was the printing. They do print our tax bills for us, so they used that credit in 2025 and didn't let us know. So hopefully things will get straightened out. So I did ask for the same for the printing because I expect to have to pay for printing this year since I don't have a credit, but I do expect the postage to go back down. Again, that is why there is a difference there. We went from 85,000 to 69,000 for our total operation and maintenance. And again, that other FTE helped that reduce too. And then the last page, or the last part of this part of the budget, is our fixed charges. And we had some slight increases, a couple decreases in there too. But overall, there's about a $10,000 difference, $11,000 increase. And that is just mostly due to rent. And the reason that one is higher is I have been made aware that the area in the front of the building where our parking commission is currently located, they are looking at relocating. They have a window, they have better line management for my property tax department. So I did include in the budget renting that area for the whole year, although I only would expect it to be a half a year, if anything, on this first year. But what that would do is allow, during election time, we could even use those windows if we needed to. But during election times, our lines tend to wrap around towards our motor vehicle department. Our motor vehicle department has lines that are extremely long at times during the summer. But during property tax season, it just falls right after the November election. So it will let us either have line management towards elections or towards the motor vehicle area. Right now, they're going out the back door of the building, and there's just a little tiny area between the two bathrooms for them to stand. And then they end up in the motor vehicle line too. So it's kind of a messy situation. And people get confused on who's calling them and where they're going, and they get kind of intermingled between those two departments, the customers do. So it would give us that better line management. We'd have windows to help the customers. So right now, where they go in the door, if they have a walker or a cane or a wheelchair, they have to go back out the exact same door, trying to get by someone who is standing in that doorway. And so it's just very difficult for a traffic flow. So we're hoping that that would be something that we're able to do. And again, it's in my proposed budget.
And where specifically will that property tax be?
That would be at the front of the building. So when you first walk in, it used to be the information desk.
An elevator there.
Yes, yes. And my staff did mention too that they would be able to assist customers coming in the building and directing them where they go. Most of my departments, if pretty much all of my departments, are customer based. So whether they direct them to motor vehicle or property tax being right there, or to the elections department or possibly the records department, they would be available to help that, except at the very busy time where there's lines. So I think it would be a very nice fit. And I did also, in the operation and maintenance, I did include in my records department another computer so that they could have both of those counters to help their customers, instead of just one counter at the main office there. It also would allow better flow for in and out of the records department for traffic. Do you have any questions on my property tax budget? Okay, I will continue on. Thank you. The next would be my motor vehicle budget. All right. So the motor vehicle budget is up now, and I do have an increase in motor vehicle. We did reduce in FY26 one FTE, which we're staying at. That FTE had moved over to our property tax department, but due to salary increases, longevity, and then of course just cost of living possibly being allowed for an increase on our wages for our staff here, and of course the employee health insurance. And you'll notice the health insurance went up quite a bit, so that's a majority of the personnel change, the expense. The other thing is that we had an audit in FY26 also, so that helped our clerk ones and our clerk twos, they found that they were underpaid. So that's why there's a difference also between the FY25 and FY26 budget. Our operation and maintenance for a motor vehicle went from 149,000 to 125,000. We have, I have decreased the postage, office supplies, minor equipment. I did add a little bit more into printing, duplicating, and binding. That's because we order our envelopes in bulk, so that we get a big discount. Sometimes I can get about half off. So we like to order them in bulk. So it's like a 2-year supply, hopefully. Hopefully I budgeted enough for that. And then our other part of that is office repair and maintenance. We went up on that in 2026. The state of Montana turned over all of their equipment to the county, and they used to support our equipment and supply it. Now that's up to us. So we have a lot of older printers and things that are going to die soon. I don't know when. So I have budgeted to replace a lot of that type of equipment. Computers wise, we're good, but the printers, they are pretty old. So we're budgeting to make sure we can still maintain our service to the public, but yet have, equipment that's running. And then travel, I did reduce because the state used to have a conference for our motor vehicle staff, and they quit doing that years ago. I didn't, I was hoping they had just stopped because of, COVID and then a few other things, but apparently they are not going to kick that back in. I was expecting them to last year, and that didn't happen. And then our contracted services, we were able to go down from there. Back in 2025, we had a huge influx of all our customers, and we had hired staff to come in and help us. Plus, we also were paying the state of Montana to complete certain online registrations for us. So a lot of that they're now doing for free, which is amazing. We're super happy about that. So that was able to be reduced also and stay at that 6,800 from the previous year budget. So again, there's a reduction there, about 24,000 in my O&M for my motor vehicle department. And then in my fixed charges, it has gone down just a little bit, mostly again, the CIP fund. We are planning on hopefully purchasing a copier soon, but I'm not sure if I put that in the budget this year. That'll be Frank going over that later, or maybe he's already gone over it. So the total budget for motor vehicle was is proposed at 1.5 million, so 1,531,654, an increase from last year of roughly 70,000. And again, a lot of that is due to personnel. Well, more than that is due to personnel.
Mr. Chair.
Yes. Commissioner Hunt.
Just a couple of questions. Remind me, how many people in motor vehicles?
We have 16 FTEs.
16 FTE.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get to this, but just might as well now. I mean, it seems like things have been going really well down there, compared to where we were a couple of years ago and prior to cars coming in. And but it seems like the staff has stabilized significantly. I mean, there's still some turnover, I'm sure, but and then the way the pre-work out in the hallway, plus the way the program's working, we just have, at least the number of calls I've gotten, the number of emails I've gotten have diminished significantly. And now even getting occasional compliments like, wow, that went really well, way better than it used to be. This person treated me really well, blah, blah, blah. So just wanted to talk about that a little bit. It's been quite a change, and I hope that it's been, something really positive for you, and you sleep better at night sometimes, maybe.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Hunthausen, yes, for sure. When I started, our lines were 4 to 6 hours. We have reduced those. Generally speaking, it's under a half an hour, and most times it's 10 to 15 minutes that the customer is waiting. There's a lot of things that have attributed to that. We had a summer in 2024 where we had 4 employees quit right at the beginning of the summer. It takes time to get their user set up from the state of Montana. They have to go through background checks and fingerprinting and all kinds of things that take a lot of time, and then you have to train them. So we went for a summer without 4 of our employees basically, and to boot for other employees. We're trying to train those employees at the same time. So everything was taking longer besides the system that took a long time itself. The old cars or the old Merlin system was definitely outdated, and it had a lot of good qualities, and it was robust, but too robust for the memory or whatever speed it could do. It just didn't have enough speed to be able to keep up with its program, I guess. So we are excited. We've made a lot of changes throughout the few years. We've tried different hours. We tried opening at 7, being open till 6. We didn't have people coming between 5 and 6. We tried 7:30 to 5. But what we found is trying to staff the 7:30 time frame or 7 o'clock, it just was unmanageable. And we had a lot of people come in and expect to be serviced, which is, we were open, but we didn't have enough staff to keep that up. Now that we're open till at 8, generally speaking, we don't have 30 people in line before we even get here. And so it's actually spread it out throughout the day and much more manageable for the staff. I think also our staff is, because we are retaining them, we're not training new staff all the time. So our staff is being able to be better experienced and help that customer a lot more. So one of our big goals was to get employee retention and to make sure we could keep our staff. So that was one of the reasons they did the audit on our clerks, to see if they were being paid something that was comparable around the state, or even the community. So that's been a really good addition. And the staff has done a great job, and we've got the check-in windows now. So they come in, they can check in. We can make sure that they have everything they need before they wait in line for a long period of time. And we can also make sure that they're not in the wrong location. A lot of the counties forget that we are sitting here, Lewis and Clark County Motor Vehicle Department, when there's the state of Montana Motor Vehicle Department, and they tell their customer, go to Helena and they'll help you, but they end up in our line instead of up at the state of Montana. And, we don't want them to sit in our line for an hour or two and then find out they're in the wrong place. So the check-in window has been definitely a huge improvement and very helpful to our customers.
Great. Thank you.
Good. Very good.
Any other questions on our motor vehicle budget? All right, I'll move to our accounting budget. All right, so our accounting budget, we have quite a few staff in there. We have the treasury side, and then I'm also the clerk and recorder. So we have the clerk and recorder side, which is mostly the finance system. It's the general ledger, making sure that what we record on the treasury side, being banking, actually is reported correctly in our finance system. And so we are tracking, all the expenses and revenues throughout the whole county, but we also have all the school districts and fire districts and all the other little districts out there. So distributing tax revenues, payroll flows through us, all accounts payable flows through us. So we want to make sure that everything is nice and accurate. So with that, I have 2 treasury staff and I have 2 general ledger staff. And one of my another staff is a supervisor of all 4 of those people. And then I have a half-time position in there too. So generally that's our full-time group. We do have money set aside. We did have a person come in and help us with special projects throughout the years. So if we need that special project, again, we have budget for that. And then we do also budget for temporary salaries. We usually get help during the summertime. We have the fair that's going on. We have asset audits that we have to do and things that are and we have fiscal year end. So some stuff that's out of the norm, but a lot of stuff that's annual, once a year type things that our normal staff doesn't have time to do. The other thing is we've gone to a new finance system in January of this year. So we are still learning the new finance system. We'll be doing, procedures that come once a year, fiscal year end stuff that will be done this year. So it'll be nice to have a little bit of extra money for having a temporary person come in. And I did keep a little bit of money for overtime just because of those new processes and that new system, not sure how everything will fit together. And again, employer health insurance also hits us on our personnel salary. Our personnel budget has gone up because of that. And then any longevity that we might have. Also, we have a couple that have started to get longevity going. So that's great. We also are encouraging that actually through all my departments to try to get that longevity out of our employees. We definitely value them in every one of our departments, and we definitely could not be successful without them. The next area of my accounting budget is my operation and maintenance. And with that budget, you'll see there is a credit card fee. There's like $240,000 for that. That is credit card fees for those taxpayers that choose to use their credit cards to pay their taxes. But prior commission years and years ago said that that was only benefiting those taxpayers, so we can't expect all taxpayers to cover those costs. So there's actually revenues that come in and offset that $240,000. And that revenue is coming from the taxpayers paying that fee to use their credit card. And then if you look at the total for my O&M budget, it actually went down about $3,000 from last year. So not a lot of changes there. We do want to make sure our staff is taking advantage of training and travel and things like that. So I'm going to go to the next area, which is just our fixed charges. And it went up just a little bit, went from 59,000 to 61,000. Our total accounting budget went up around 50,000. It looks like 55,000 for the year. And again, most of that is due to the cost of personnel. Is there any questions on my accounting budget? Okay, last but not least is my records preservation fund. So the records preservation was set up to do exactly what it sounds like, make sure that we're able to preserve our records. And a lot of that is based off of the records department downstairs. But we were able to save money in our CIP, and that is made for digitizing like records and things like that. We didn't have to use that when our records department did digitize their records because we had a grant, but that money is actually going to be made available or has been made available for a district court to digitize their records. So that records preservation has helped other departments, not just mine. But it's good because I do have one employee in there. When I mentioned that I have 4 employees in my records division, 3 of them are through my records budget. 1 of them is through my records preservation budget. So that's why we have personnel in there. Again, you'll see that increase, but it is due to the employer health insurance and a small increase due to what we expected in wages. The next areas are operation and maintenance. So I've tried to keep this particular budget pretty even and not change it much. It's based off of a $2 fee that we receive. It's a larger fee, but we get $2 of it for our records preservation. Before the 2025 legislation, that was only $1 that we were getting, and that was per recording. So it's not like it has a lot of money in that. So I wanted to try to keep that budget as close as I could. And I've tried to do that over the last few years so that we're not draining that money out. The other thing is that this year in my fixed charges, though, I did increase it because we are looking at having to take an import from the company that digitized our images of all our book pages and get those into our software. So I did increase that a little bit by that. We are also looking at AI options, but I'm hoping to do that in the future. I did not include that in this budget. And so my grand total budget went from fiscal year 26 of $5,080,373 to $5,145,249. Again, there was some large increases in personnel, but I tried to offset those with other budget items to try to lower that impact on my budget. And then part of the savings is because we are in a different rotation year for elections. Do you have any questions for me?
One of the things that I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your total CIP budget. It's up and down depending on the department within your organization.
Yeah.
Do you feel real comfortable that you've got enough money set aside there to take care of future needs?
Mr. Commissioner, or Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, yes, I work with our finance department on our CIP budget quite extensively to make sure that I am sitting in a good place. And again, there is a lot of equipment that I have saved up for and chose not to purchase either in this fiscal year, maybe the prior fiscal year, or maybe even next year, depending on the condition of that equipment and whether I feel it needs to be replaced. So some of my CIP I wasn't saving for as much as I have in the past, just because I've already saved up for that equipment. But again, if the equipment is still good and I'm not going to get anything for a trade-in, I feel I might as well use it until it breaks. So there is, obviously some things that you say, don't do that, especially when it comes to elections. But I do have 3 tabulators, and that would be my main concern. I do have one that could be a backup out of those 3. So I use it a lot anyway, but it's a little bit newer. It was a refurbished one. So I feel if one of mine happened to break during an election, I would still have 2 that I could run on. So I don't feel like we would be in a big dilemma. I think we'd be okay waiting. And so and those machines run fast and furious, and they're still a good machine. So I don't feel that I want to replace them yet if I don't have to.
And a question for Frank, you feel comfortable with the CIP, the way it's set up?
Mr. Chair, yes, yeah. Amy and I, we comb over her CIP every year. As she mentioned, the tabulators are probably, or definitely are, her biggest expenses, and we make sure that we have funding available for them. It is in good shape. I hate to hesitate to say, it's almost fully funded. I mean, most CIPs are not fully funded. This one's really, we've worked really hard to make sure that it is. Amy's done a really good job of postponing it for the years that she doesn't need to buy that equipment. So it ends up being savings going forward. But the reserves are healthy there. The other things that she's saving for, as big as we just got an accounting system, or ERP, where that means we have to start saving for another one in 10 years. So there's savings there as well, that those are big expenses that we got to look forward to. But Amy does a really good job of making sure that those reserves are there, and she has a good CIP.
All right. Thought it was kind of interesting as I went through your budget, just to look at your different departments. Your election division, its budget is reduced by 10.5%, rough figures. The records department, it's increased by 8.1%. The property tax division increased by 4.6%. Motor vehicle division increased by 4.8%. Accounting down by 1%. No, I'm sorry, by up by 5%. I'm sorry. Then the grant and the preservation budget is up 23%. But overall, your overall budget's only up by 1.3%. And the way you've shifted things around, as you saw it, I think it indicates to me that you're really managing your money well and your budget well to try to take care of what needs to be done. There's a lot of temptation to not pull back in one area when you maybe need it over here, and it seems like you're managing that extremely well. And I think you should be commended for the way you're managing towards your needs and towards what the people expect from your whole department. So
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'm impressed. I really am. I think that that sort of management is important in all that we do. It's what people in the private sector would be doing, and I think you're using the same sort of judicious financial planning that most of us try to do in our personal lives, and makes it a lot easier. So thank you for what you've done and the way you're responding to things more specifically and taking care of things in a very financially prudent manner. It looks very strong to me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, can I add as well? This year was a big, and Amy alluded to it, this was a big transition year for her team and my team and all the finance folks in the county. Without Amy's leadership and insight, there's been some really good items that Amy has consulted us on, and a few things that really have saved us time and money when it comes to implementing that platform, that new platform as well. Her staff, everyone was all hands on deck to get that going. I really appreciate the effort and the focus and not letting anybody take the eye off the ball. We postponed the implementation of a couple of years, and we decided to rip the Band-Aid off in the middle of the year. I remember having a meeting with Roger and with Amy and saying, we do this in the middle of the year, and we went through the steps, and Amy kept us on track saying, here are the landmines, here are the issues that we got to work through if we do this at December 31st instead of June 30th. And I think that without that insight, it would have been very difficult to do that. So really appreciate her staff, everybody's time and effort. And so far it's been a success. Yes, we're working through some kinks. It's a brand new system, so not everybody's used to it, but we're getting there, and yeah, it's turning out to be a good effort.
Another indication is when I came on board as a commissioner, we were having huge lines people waiting to get their car licenses, and people waiting 2 or 3 hours to get them. And between what you've done and the better system that came out from the Department of Justice and the changes that you made to accommodate the people, now all we hear of is, wow, it's sure a lot easier to get a license plate than it was what it used to be. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could I please? So I want to thank Amy too for the great team approach and all of her help that she gives us, a great communicator. I did have 2 or 3 things that I wanted to ask. So Amy, the legislature made a change to allow people to make multiple payments of their property taxes. And I know we've talked a little bit about that in the past. Have you seen much of an impact to your operations of that change that went from a couple of times a year to multiple times a year that people can do that now?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Roger Baltz, the option is 7 times a year. It's kind of a weird deal. They divide your tax bill by 7. You can start paying in November. Your last payment would be May. You do have to enter in with a contract with the county, but ours is an online thing. I don't have enough staff to basically, like a telephone company or energy company where they get payments every month. I don't have staff to do that. I actually have to bring in staff during tax season. So I don't have staff to actually man that. So the payments would be online. But if you pay online, you're going to pay with a credit card or an e-check or something, and there's a fee to that. So even though it might look like a good option, it could put up somebody's credit card debt. They could use their credit card, which they can come to our office and use a credit card too, but they're going to get charged that fee because we don't cover the fees. And as you can see, I budgeted like $240,000. So that's a lot of money to put on all the taxpayers when only some of the taxpayers are benefiting from it. So we're not seeing a lot of people enter into that contract. Yeah. I think it's very strange that it's 7 months versus 12 months, but when they were trying to change the laws, 12 months doesn't work with tax liens. It doesn't work with the tax deed. There's a lot of problems with the 12 months, so they went with the 7 months. There is other programs that we are finding that people are benefiting more out of, and that's the property tax assistance. And then we've also been able to direct some of our property taxpayers to some grants that we've been made aware of, whether it was through Rocky Mountain Development Council and some other places. They've had some nice grants that have helped. Some of them are even helping people replace windows in their homes. So just to be more energy efficient and things like that. So those types of things I think have helped our public or our citizens more than incurring another 3% to pay with a credit card versus coming in here and paying with cash or mailing in a check.
And Mr. Chair, if you don't mind again, since we have Ms. Reeves here, I thought I would ask too. I don't know if this has been on everyone's radar, but I know you were having to deal with the homestead designation that could be placed on properties. I know it's a state of Montana issue, but didn't that start impacting your office a little bit a few weeks ago?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Baltz, yes. The Homestead Act, now the reason it had affected us so much is because the mobile home tax bills have gone out. And unfortunately, on the mobile home tax bills, a lot of our residents are finding that their mobile home taxes have increased about threefold. So they're not expecting that. You know, no one would expect their property taxes to triple like that. And generally speaking, a lot of our homeowners that are living in a mobile home can't afford that increase. Now, unfortunately, from what I understand, the Homestead Act, the state had allowed a $400 rebate, and that was supposed to automatically enroll you into the Homestead Act. I don't know if they had some glitches in their computer and that didn't work, or maybe some homeowners of mobile home versus real estate didn't realize it. But originally, meaning the state was saying that it was just for real estate. It was not supposed to be for mobile homes. So those mobile homes were at a higher tax rate, which is what happened when it was billed out. But it sounds like now they're allowing mobile home, has to be the primary residence, to apply for that Homestead Act. But it sounds like they didn't let them apply for it maybe before the bills went out. Something happened where they weren't maybe in it. I have heard that the state of Montana will refund that out of the state general fund. So that is good news for the county because we won't have to worry about trying to reverse off a bunch of tax bills and put them back on. And it reduces a lot of work for us if they needed us to do that. But the sad part is those homeowners aren't able to apply for that refund, I heard, until January, or at least until 2027. So as a homeowner, and I used to own a mobile home and could not afford my property taxes at times too. I understand where they're coming from. To get hit with it being 3 times the amount, and I don't know what help there is for them. I don't know if they're able to get the property tax assistance or any of the grants, but I know they're not going to get refunded on that money until next calendar year. So I think that's a huge problem in our community and statewide for anybody who owns a mobile home and that's their primary residence, if they did not get that tax break or that tax exemption for the homestead. It's a very big hardship.
Thanks a lot. And Commissioner, just one other thing too, and again, it's just a big picture thing regarding the county and our operations. So it's not necessarily specific to your budget, but I believe we are anticipating seeing the ramifications on people's property tax bills coming this November of all of the levies that were voted in for the school-related issues. Are we not?
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Mr. Baltz, I believe you're not going to see the entire impact. And the reason I say that is because the 2 levies that are the 2 bond issues that were on the ballot that passed for a total of $280 million. One was 40 million, one was 240. So the school district hasn't borrowed all of that money yet. They've taken a portion of that money. I don't know if they plan on taking all of it. And I don't know what their budget year looks like for next year. So I'm not sure if we're going to see the total ramifications of that. I would suggest that they call the Helena School District to find out how that's going to impact their tax bill, because I'm not sure when School District 1 does calculate their mill levies, which is our Helena School District, if they're going to be calculating the full amount of that loan. From what I understand, they're going to have 2 separate loans. And one of them is going to be, I believe, one they've already gotten, and the other one I believe is 2 years out. Now, they may also have a secondary loan, elementary versus high school, but year-wise, they have loans that they got after it was approved, and then from what I was told, it'd be 2 years before they take the rest of that money, which would be a separate loan. So I just don't think it's going to impact the tax bill completely this time.
Wow, thank you very much for that. It's not uncommon for the county commission offices to get phone calls about property tax bills. Thank you.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Again, really appreciate the very business-like approach that you've taken to things, and I think you're serving the taxpayers well.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to thank Amy as well. And I've said this before, but I'm glad that I'm elected to this job and not yours. Yes, it seems like it's controlled chaos down there with all the hats you wear and all the things, the balls in the air. So I just want to express my appreciation. I'll lay it on thick with everybody else, I guess, for all the things that you do for the citizens of Lewis and Clark County. It's amazing, and much of it behind the scenes. I mean, you are a lot of public facing things that you do, but the work is done behind the scenes, and it's really important. So thank you so much for all that you do for us.
Thank you, Mr.
As long as we're handing out compliments to our star treasurer, clerk, and recorder, I had an older gentleman walk into my office, and he was mad. And his property taxes, they were taxing him on way more property than what he really owned. And he'd been downstairs and talked to the ladies in the property tax, and they said, well, just take this over to the property taxes. And they were talking about the state one that I guess is now on the Walking Mall. Who knew? Well, he was upset, and I could understand why he was that upset. So I reached over on my little phone and dialed up the treasurer's office. Oh, and our friend Amy answered, and she said to me, well, I understand exactly what he's going through. Put him on the elevator and send him down, and I'll meet him, and I'll take care of that. And so got on the elevator, went down, and I think it was the next Saturday, I had a phone call from that gentleman complimenting me on the prompt service, on the professionalism of our treasurer, and everything was handled so well and so cleanly, and he appreciated our service. And so it's really easy sometimes to feel like, doesn't anybody know how hard I work and all the effort I make? People do notice, Amy, and I just wanted to thank you for taking care of that for me.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, commissioners. That was very nice, very kind words. And again, our goal is to keep our customers happy. Nobody wants to pay their taxes, unfortunately. I don't want to pay mine either, but we want all the services, and we do need those services to drive to work, raise our kids, whatever it might be, grandkids in my case. So it's important, and we want to help our citizens as much as they can, but also make it easy to come in. My goal when I started was to make it enjoyable, and everybody laughed at me. How are you going to make motor vehicle enjoyable to come to? Maybe unrealistic, but it was definitely my goal. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, it looks like we don't have anybody here yet from CASA. We had scheduled a break from 2:30 to 3. It is just a little short of 2:30. Why don't we at least take 15 minutes and see if they show up in about 15 minutes, and if not, we'll wait till 3 o'clock.
Okay.
All right. All right. CASA and the court-appointed
Special
advocates and GAL.
Fired me.
Yeah.
They fired me.
All right.
Tom, CASA fired me.
They did.
They said I was a taskmaster. Actually, what they said was I was a hard ass, but they wanted. What's that? Oh, no, not a chance. I moved along and now I've got this to do. So,
All right.
okay.
Why don't go ahead and introduce yourself for the record and let's hear about it.
With CASA. So yeah, it's been a while. It's Tammy High, Heigh. So I put it on a comparison from our 2025 budget that you guys requested from last year to our proposed budget for the 26-27 year. So you can kind of see the difference in where we're at. I did put actuals on there too as of March 31st, 2026 to show you where we stand. We are under budget pretty much with everything with the exception of some stuff for the Light of Hope and some tech and online services that we had some unexpected things come up that we had to switch out our internet and phone service stuff. So those were the two things that I was over on. Everything else is under budget. Yeah. We did get our VOCA again grant, which we all know is, I put not secure on there with some of these that you see. That we do have them, but if something were to happen, they get taken away, as we know. And other than that, our budget's not quite as high as it has been in the past. As I fluctuate, if we're quite a bit under, I will adjust that amount for the upcoming year by about 3 to 5%. If we need more in certain areas, then I will add that 3 to 5% in there so it does balance out. Our individual contributions, we don't add in there as well, just because we don't know for sure what those are going to be throughout the year.
Mm-hmm. Have they maintained pretty well?
Have seen kind of an increase with the individual donations. We've been doing quite a bit of getting our name out there a little bit more with the TV and radio ads, making everybody aware of us and what we do and why we're here. So we have seen those contributions come up. We did see a little bit of a decline the last 2 quarters of last year with people volunteering. But now we have a full class of students that's ready to volunteer. And with them, we should be serving 100% of our kids. Finally. Yes.
I see the Montana judicial system was part of your budget last year, but is not included.
Right. And they had that, what we did, the judicial system is the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. So we just renamed that to exactly, we get those monies from the Supreme Court quarterly like we do the VOCA.
So, Mr. Chair, I think it's just down the list a little bit then, right?
4158.
Yes.
It just moved down the page, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. But our efforts with advertising have definitely paid off. We had 149 kids in care last year. We served 128 of them with our CASA advocates and myself and the staff. We had 65 new children come into care. 12 of those kids that come back, and we have some reopened cases that have returned. And we closed 56 cases last year that went to reunification, either with guardianship, back to mom or dad, or adoption. We just had one young fellow that we've had in care since 2017 and had about 24 different placements, and he got his forever home last week.
That's great.
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Henhoven.
This question, because you're kind of reminding me as you're speaking there, we all kind of know what's going on, but There might be somebody watching today because this is on
Right.
TV. So I think just an opportunity to kind of tell people what CASA does, what it is, and what guardian ad litems are as well, and what you do and how you serve the community. It'd be great.
So what we are is court-appointed special advocates. We are appointed by our first judicial judges, which we have 4 of them. Once we're assigned by that judge, we pretty much work for the court system, advocating for the best interests of the child. So once we are assigned and have those legal documents, we can get all information that has to do with the case, with the child, medical, therapy, IEPs, anything like that. And we put together a court report for the judge and the parties involved that bring the whole spectrum of the case together and kind of, I like to call it layman's terms. It's not a bunch of legal talk to where people can understand and the judge knows exactly what's going on with that kid, mom and dad, medical needs, special needs, anything that's being missed, we can advocate for. If we feel that child needs some extra care in some areas, we can advocate for that within the court system as well. So we bring it all together for all the parties.
Could you kind of take us through the experience of maybe a somewhat typical young person?
Sure. So what happens is when we bring in an advocate, I give them about 3 different cases to choose from. And I always kind of tell them that the child will probably pick you after you read what's going on in the case. So once they take that on, they are required to go out just once a month to visit with the child. But a lot of our advocates do more than that as they build that relationship with the children. And they are the one steady person in the whole case that stays with that child from beginning to end. As our caseworkers turn over, our attorneys come and go. So that advocate is the one person that stays and walks alongside that child the whole way through the case.
And those relationships kind of maybe even go on into adulthood.
They do. They do. After the, case is dismissed, they really don't have any legal obligation, but they've built that bond with the child and the family. And a lot of them do stay in contact after the fact the case is gone. And we've had a couple advocates see some of their children as adults out thriving in the community and thanking them for what they've done. So it's pretty special.
And can you kind of tell us about the difference between, say, a big brother, big sister program and
we advocate for the best interests. So the big brother, big sister basically just goes out and does things with the children. Not that we don't, but we advocate for what is in the best interest of that child through the case, because this is one of their hardest times of their lives to do that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
So, Mr. Chair, I guess just to take that to the next step too, advocating might mean being in court with them, or might be talking to other adults, or advocating for placement, or
Exactly. Yep. We advocate for all that placement. We find that a lot of our older children are wanting to talk to the judge in chambers themselves because they do have a voice and they need to be recognized. They will ask that our CASA go with them and their attorney, of course, but they don't want anybody else in that chamber with the judge. So it's good to see our children stepping up and feeling confident to be able to speak their voice because of that commitment that we've made to them.
Thank you.
And you work with all of the judges in the district?
Yep. All our first judicial judges, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Other questions that you might have? So basically what we're looking at is that contribution that is at the top of your list there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So what I did with the contribution that we get from you all is I just did a 3% increase for the year.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody else have a question?
Not a question. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
What does VOCA stand for?
Victims of Crime Act.
Thank you.
And that's through the Department of Justice.
I struggle with three-letter acronyms. I know this is a four-letter, but still, it's.
Yep, they are hard to learn for sure.
Mr. Chair, okay.
Go ahead.
So the budget part of this is really quick and easy because this is a status quo budget, just cost of living kind of thing, and we'll work through those details. But the work that you do in the community and that your team does, it's just really important stuff. These kids may not have any advocate if it wasn't for the CASA program. So I'm just really proud that we get to be part of the equation here, a little piece of the puzzle.
Thank you.
And the good work that you do, and always hear good things about CASA and the CASA.
Good.
workers.
We appreciate you
Yeah.
guys immensely. Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you.
And I thought you were looking like you were going to speak.
Thank you all.
You're good.
Did you have something you wanted
Wait,
to add? Or?
Actually, Tammy, just a couple questions. Can you just for my education,
Sure.
how big is the district and where are you guys located?
We have Lewis and Clark and Broadwater County right now. We've been asked to possibly expand into Marr County because they've never had a program. So I've been asked to do that, and we'll be meeting with those judges here next month. And we are right out by the auto malls. They're across from the jump park in that little strip mall. Yeah.
Yes.
And so, you say that you also advocate in Broadwater County. Do the Broadwater County Commissioners give you any money?
We get $1,000 from them each year from the
Okay.
county.
Okay, but that doesn't show up in this.
That is one that is, let's see.
Broadwater
Oh.
County, never mind.
Yep.
Okay. Want to make sure they're pulling their weight.
That's right. Perfect. Anything
Right.
else?
That was all.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Are we got Rocky coming here pretty quick then? Now, are the doors locked, or are they going to be able to come in when they get here?
Oh, really? So you've been just waiting this whole time?
Yes, this whole time. 3 hours.
We're ready for you if you want to go ahead.
That's for you. Is that okay?
Great.
No.
Do I need to sign in for this?
Yes. Thank you. Okay. No.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon,
You bet.
Commissioners. My name is Lori Lattis, Loriladas, and I'm the Executive Director of Rocky Mountain Development Council. Thank you for having us here today to present a budget request to the county. I would like to start by thanking you for all the past years of support that you've so generously provided to Rocky to run senior programs. I've brought the spreadsheet that we usually bring to you, as well as a little narrative document that describes the programs that we use the county mill funding for. Couple of stats that I'll call out right away is in our fiscal year ended June 30 of 2025, we served 24,829 meals in senior centers around the Tri-County area to 1,194 adults. Our Meals on Wheels program during that same fiscal year served 83,400 meals to 785 adults. Those are two of the most staggering stats I feel like I want to call out. There's a lot of information in this document that I gave you that describes the rest of our senior programming and what kind of activities we run and what kind of volunteer opportunities we provide for seniors. So I will just let you keep that and read through it at your leisure. And as always, if you have questions later, you can feel free to reach out to me. So on the spreadsheet that I brought for you this year, I'm showing our actual numbers for fiscal year 25, how we allocated the county mill funds that we received from Lewis and Clark, Broadwater, and Jefferson counties. And then in the next column with the blue coloring, this is what we're projecting that we're going to do with the funds we've received from the county mill allocations. And so the numbers on the bottom half of the page showing you what we're hoping to allocate to each program are not finalized yet, because that's projected through June 30th of 26. And then in the next column, and the next couple of columns, you'll see the green coloring is for what our budget is looking like for fiscal year 27. And we are requesting a 2.7% increase if you would be willing to consider. And then we are showing you down below, again, what we expect to allocate to each of those programs. And the next column in the right in the green, where it says total program costs, that will show you the total dollar amount of the cost to run those programs for the fiscal year. And the next column is the percentage that we cover of those costs with county mill. And then in the next two columns to the right, we have just trended the next two fiscal years, 28 and 29. And I used a 3.2% increase year over year. And I just got that number from looking up what the past 10 years inflation rate has been on average. Remember that last year we came here and we presented a spreadsheet that showed that we thought we were not going to be able to cover all of our costs for the upcoming year of fiscal year 26. We thought we were going to maybe end the year in the hole to the tune of about $200,000. But what ended up happening was we are expecting to end the year with a little bit of carryover, around $133,000. And the primary reason for that is a $200,000 increase that we received from the state. The last legislature passed a budget that allocated an additional chunk of money to the Older Americans Act programs. And so we benefited from that bill to the tune of $200,000 for our senior nutrition programs. We've also received a couple of sizable donations in the last few months for Meals on Wheels. We also did lay off a couple of staff people at the beginning of the fiscal year, so in July of 25. And so we're actually expecting to come out of the year, rather than being in a deficit, with some carryover that will be able to be used in the next year. And the next year, we're actually hoping to have a little bit left over as well, pushing out the time when we are thinking we might actually need more money coming in to fiscal year 28. I would take any questions that you all have.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Andy.
Just to discuss that a little bit more. So this is really good news, actually, because as you know, commissioners, yesterday when we were talking about some of that, the new requests that we were talking, Frank and I and Lori, we've been meeting earlier in the year, the fiscal year, to talk about how we might make a larger contribution because we thought that they were going to be in pretty tight situation financially. And this has now, with the money that got from the state, it's really put that off for a couple of years. So it gives us more time, and Frank and I were talking about this too, that it gives us a little more time to strategize ways that the county and the other hopefully the other counties would follow suit to put in a little bit larger chunk of county mill toward this. We haven't, other than the COLA, which is a normal thing, the annual cost of living increase, we haven't increased the amount that we have contributed toward our senior programs for some time, quite a while. So this would give us another 2 years essentially to strategize here about, or a year and a half, strategize about how we could potentially increase our contribution to the senior programs for a base level. And we've already been talking about that a bit, and I think there's some pretty good pathways for potentially doing that. But I'm really glad that this year, and thank you for the hard work to make sure that the budget's going to work out. But going forward, I think we have some opportunity, commissioners, to make a larger contribution to that base so that when you project it out further, the senior programs won't be in danger of reduction in service. So I'll just leave it at that for now, but I don't know if you want to comment on that, Laurie, but that's essentially what we're looking at, right?
Right. I don't really have anything to add. I mean, I can just say that I appreciate the advocacy that's been out there around the need for funding for senior programs, which is why I'm sure the legislature saw fit to, pass a bill that would pass a budget that would allocate a significant of additional money to the area agencies on aging.
I have a comment in
Commissioner Payne.
in response to Mr. Commissioner Hunthausen's comment. I really admire people who can have a budget and live within it. That is what we strive for. And we can all kind of expect that, there may be something happen, we may need, but it really bothers me that, oh, no, we should go into this expecting the budget to have to grow because that's the way it is. We have, every day we have people come in here and explain to us why it is that their programs need more money. And we, on the other hand, when I'm at the grocery store and run into the taxpayers, they say, my taxes are too high, don't raise my taxes. And so it's our job to sort of figure out how this works. And when a very reasonable, well-balanced person such as yourself comes in and said, we got it figured out, we can do this, I really admire that, and I wish we could have more people like you who recognize that we have X number of dollars. It's not our job to figure out new ways to spend them so that our taxpayers can pay more taxes. No. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Commissioner Payne. I appreciate that.
And Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Hunthausen.
I do too, Commissioner, and I agree with you. I think what the reality that we're facing is not necessarily just a hope of increasing things, but we're facing a larger number of seniors, and that same grocery bill that we pay, Rocky has to pay for their commodities and things to bring in to run the program. So electricity, heat, light, all the stuff to run a building and to have facilities and all that costs more as well. So we have to strategize ways to balance that, to try and be as conscious as we can to the taxpayer and also try to make sure that we fund these programs well enough to serve the community that we have and the growing number of seniors that are in the community. So it's one of those balancing things, but I totally agree. And that's why I'm glad we have a couple more seasons here to kind of strategize around ways to do that without of putting as little burden as we can on the taxpayer. So thanks. Oh, it's a good conversation.
The numbers you gave us on the meals and then the Meals on Wheels program, I guess, is that what it's still called?
Yes, it is called Meals on Wheels.
Okay. What that's for the whole area. What's it like in Lewis and Clark County?
Lewis and Clark County is by far the largest. I didn't bring that number with me today. I apologize, but I'd be happy to email you all that breakout.
If you would, I think that'd be kind of an interest. Since we're talking about Lewis and Clark County dollars, I think that'd be a great thing to have. I guess I've mentioned to you several times how my wife's grandmother had gone up and worked to help make the meals many years ago, and we never could come and visit her over the lunch hour because she was up there in her late 70s and 80s, saying, "I got to go up and take care of the old folks," you know.
Well, I'd like to put in a plug too and a thank you, even though none of them are here to hear this, but we have a magnificent group of volunteers who are delivering Meals on Wheels for us, and people who come in to help seal the meals, and then people who drive out to deliver routes with their own vehicles using their own gas, and they're all volunteers. And I think back to 5 years ago when we didn't run that program with volunteers. We used to have employees delivering meals. And we decided, hey, this is a great avenue for us to cut costs. And, it's on the news all the time when Meals on Wheels does their big push for funding during March and the Meals for March that they put on. They always are saying, hey, if you want to volunteer to deliver meals, give us a call. And so we started up this volunteer program, and it's really taken off. And I'm super happy now to say that it has, because the cost would be a lot higher if we were paying employees to do it.
How many volunteers do you have?
I want to say there's around 60-ish,
Wow.
plus or minus. And some of those are substitutes. There's some people that do a regular route and they might do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or maybe just one day a week. And then there's some that are just fill-ins for when people are out of town.
Good. Very good. All right. Any other questions? Anybody?
I have a couple questions for you, Lori. I hate to put the city on the, I'm just curious because you guys currently rent a building that's owned by the city. It's called the neighborhood building, right? Or the
neighborhood center.
Neighborhood center. I was there for a short 5 months period stint, but I never got the understanding of how the rent worked there. Could you explain how? I know there's a rent fee. How is that calculated, and what do you get from the city outside of just? Do they do services? Do they go out there and work on the boilers and such?
They do help us with the boilers because we don't have anybody with a certification to work on boilers. We have a facilities director who takes care of a lot of minor things that come up, and he's pretty capable. That he can't do that. So I don't know how the city determines what their rent is going to be, other than I think it's just a calculation of how they need to cover their costs for the buildings that they own and the staff that they have, I think. And then we also pay a little extra over and above that to put into a capital replacement fund. And we've never asked for anything out of that capital replacement fund, at least not since I've been at Rocky. That's been 13 years. And I do think that they would help us if we had a big need, and like if we needed a boiler replaced. I'm hoping that we could ask for that. But we just haven't really had that come up.
Okay.
But we also know there's a lot of deferred maintenance that needs to happen on that building, and we just haven't had discussions around how it's going to happen.
Mr. Chair, go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. Lori, there is a Meals on Wheels program in Augusta and in Lincoln.
Mhm.
And is that part of your program?
Yes.
And then, so I think the facility up there is in the county building. Is that right? It's in a building owned by the county.
Yes.
True? Okay. And the one in Augusta and Lincoln are both owned by the county.
I think so. I know Augusta is. I think Lincoln is too.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
Either that or is it owned by the senior group?
No, it's
No. Okay.
Okay, that was all. Thank you. Back to you.
And just to follow up on the CIP, it's actually a good transition. We also have a CIP set aside for RMDC. I think the last time I talked to Nancy, my predecessor, she had mentioned that was there to help out with a potential bus replacement or repairs, or is that buildings? It's not a lot of money, but it's there and it's available for you. And I was just curious as to what would you?
So that's different than what we've listed here as the general fund and the senior citizen mill. I don't think I was aware of that.
Mr. Chair, it actually is it actually is something Nancy did years ago. It actually comes out of this mill and we put it in there. And like I said, I'm just making you aware of it. You probably weren't aware of it because it wasn't very big. There wasn't very much money in there now or then, and now it's starting to grow to probably a level that you might be able to find some utilization for it. So I'm just going to make you aware of it. It wouldn't replace one of your buses. I would imagine those are very expensive, but it could repair one or update one or something that you might be able to utilize it to get some extra life out of something. Or if you wanted to combine it with the building improvement, you might want to do that as well. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Thanks.
I want to say it's like $20,000 ish. It's not a lot of money, but it's something that I know you guys could probably take advantage of. One more question.
Sure.
Mr. Chair. You now used to do a fundraiser called Chopped. Is that something you plan on to continue doing?
We didn't do it this year, and I don't have plans for it in the foreseeable future.
Okay. All right. It was really good. I know it was a lot to do.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and the payoff wasn't that big considering all the work. So we're kind of taking a little different approach on fundraising.
Okay. Any ideas of what any fundraisers that we should be aware of, or?
Not really thinking about any events other than maybe I guess I'm assuming that Head Start will do their annual extravaganza. That's a fundraiser that's put on by a group of volunteers called the Friends of Head Start. So it doesn't really take staff time. Well, maybe some Head Start staff time, but that's usually in October.
All right. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you.
So I don't see Head Start on this sheet here. Tell me a little bit about funding for that.
Head Start has a large direct federal grant, and that covers about 90% of the program. And we have the federal funding, we have a small amount of state funding, and then we also get some donations for that. And we have to try to get in-kind donations. We can count those towards the match. So that's primarily how Head Start is funded.
Okay. All right. Are there other programs like that that you also have, or is that the only one like that?
Like as far as that we don't use the county local funds for.
Right.
We run the low income home energy assistance program. That's federally funded. That's got a weatherization component with it. Also an energy share component. We have affordable housing properties. Those are, basically run by rents and that the tenants pay. The Area 4 Agency on Aging is a combination of federal and state funding.
And do you run those yourself, or is that work, you work with one of the other housing groups here to do?
Nope, those are all Rocky programs.
Okay, good, good. All right. Anything else?
The only thing I have, Mr. Chair, is that you should introduce the, your partner here.
Sure.
Very important person, your VIP that remains in her seat.
I'll let Beth introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Beth Branham, and I'm the Deputy Director at Rocky. Nice to meet everybody.
I had to give her a hard time. Thank you.
I tried to trick her right before we came up here by saying, now I did tell you that you're doing the talking, right?
Well, thank you for the rundown. And
you're welcome.
I'd just be curious about those numbers for just Lewis and Clark County, including Augusta and
Sure.
and Lincoln, maybe. If
we can sure send those over.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you for the time, and thank you for all your support. We appreciate you.
All right.
Back at you.
Take
Thanks.
care. So, Extension Service, are we close to seeing them, or are they? Oh, hey, how you like that?
Service. Hey, come on.
Yeah, there we go.
Thanks for coming early. We could take copies. I think we have stuff.
We have
Bet
a
you
tab
have
for it.
flags already.
Is it the same? Frank gets them, but we don't.
Would you like it?
Could you? Good. Are they? This is what we already have.
Well, let's.
This is same thing. Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. Just go ahead and introduce yourselves and give us your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, for having us. I'm Sophia Franz-Libers, the Lewis and Clark County Agriculture and Horticulture Agent.
Could you spell your name, please?
Sofia Franzluebers.
Our friend Brandy over there appreciates it when I ask for people to spell. So,
Mr. Chair, could you spell your last name again?
Franzluebers.
It's close.
Alicia Schmidt, Alyssa Schmidt, SCHMIDT. D as in dog, T as in Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners and others. I'm Jane Woolery, JaneWolery, with the assignments of Family Consumer Science and Community Vitality for MSU Extension in Lewis and Clark County.
Wonderful. All right. Go right ahead.
All right, thank you. So for the Lewis and Clark County Extension Office, we're honored to present a maintained budget overall. We are introducing a 2.7% cost of living adjustment for our one full-time employee from the county, which is consistent with the countywide adjustments. And then the only other change is increasing the contribution for the county to MSU for our salaries by $2,000, which is a total of $41,000 per agent for this year, which is the request of MSU. And we are looking to take that from our reserves that we're we have an excess so far in collaboration with Frank. So those are the only things that we have to report. Our key operational lines, operating supplies, travel, everything like that will stay the same this year.
Okay. So that's the item that you, here we go. I guess just below the total expenses there. Is that right?
For which line item, sorry?
Regular salaries. And then the personnel services. Okay, total personnel services. Okay, got it.
Yes, so we have one full-time employee for the county, our administrative assistant, and then the three of our positions are in collaboration with the county and MSU.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair, just to point out too, the portion that we pay the MSU extension salaries out of, it comes out of the last line item under operations and maintenance. So that's a contracted services line item. So you'll see it went from 129 to 135. And that $6,000 increase is due to the contracts moving from 39,000 to 41,000 per agent.
Yes, thank you, Frank. So a $6,000 total increase for the contracted services, and then further up where we have regular salaries is for our one administrative assistant.
Anybody have any questions on that?
I do not.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about some of the benefits that you provide for our county.
Sure.
Okay. Want to give us a little bit of a rundown on it?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I do the agriculture and horticulture. One of the biggest programs that we do is the Master Gardener program. So we offer a 10-week, basically gardening, everything that you can know about gardening in Helena program for any resident of Lewis and Clark County who wants to go through that process. And then they are engaged in volunteer hours and continuing education after that, which we also coordinate. And then we offer any services regarding questions about plants, the ranch, ID, bugs, pests, weed ID. We do a lot of work closely with the weed district with Christian on that, and offer a lot of services. We do site visits, we do take office visits, and do a lot of identification and treatment plans for that kind of thing. I'll let the other two speak for their programs.
Okay.
All right, thank you for your question. In the family consumer science and community vitality areas, our goals are to keep people and communities healthy and well, in the shortest essence of it. We do that through things like the Strong People program, which is a research-based program for strength training. It is open to all adults. We do have programs going in Augusta and partnering with Helena Indian Alliance here in Helena for that program. It's a continuous enrollment for those who are registered. We do offer the Youth Aware Mental Health program, which is an evidence-based program that's internationally known, and that is offered in most of the Helena schools. And I've been part of that for many, many years, actually, not all here in Lewis and Clark County. And I'm working to hope to get that in some of our outlying communities as well in schools. Reimagining Rural was a statewide program that we had people participate in from Lincoln, and that's to try to encourage people to look at their rural areas with all of the assets that they bring and ways to create more benefits for the residents who live there. I believe you know I've been involved with the East Helena Community Review and the partners that are doing that. And then more notably, we have, as far as individual consultations, many of them are in the areas of food preservation, food safety, and many coming in through estate planning and legacy planning. So we have a very prolific writer in our MSU extension specialist, Dr. Marcia Getting. She's authored more than 50 Mont guides that are about financial management for families and legacy planning. Any questions?
Anything? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Alicia Schmidt, Lewis and Clark County 4-H. The benefits of 4-H are far-reaching. I actually just had an interview with a a student today about that, but it is the largest youth organization in the nation. So Lewis and Clark County is no slouch in that aspect. We have one of the largest programs in the state, probably top, I want to say 10, be modest. We have 440 members, 800-ish parents that help those members get back and forth because not everybody can drive. And I brought you numbers because I know you love numbers regarding the size of the programs. So for last month, for the month of May, we had over 60 workshops in the BHB and around the community. So that was a really big month for us for May. Club meetings, fundraisers, outreach events, tons of different activities in that respect. And we have, in Lewis and Clark County, slated for fair in July, we have over 100 beef, we have 40 dairy, we have 40 dogs, 30 goats, 50 horses, 100 poultry, 50 rabbits, 65 sheep, and a whopping 120 plus swine. So much bacon to be had. So those are some of the things that we provide and all the learning and education that goes on in that aspect as well. So quality assurance training, making sure that their pens are safe, that their bedding is safe, that their water is safe, all those different pieces go into making sure that those animals are fit and as fiddles when they head into fair. Is there anything else?
I've just been amazed as I've gone to the 4-H sale and seen how well you do, and takes a lot of effort to get the support from the community that you do.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
Kindness, a lot of kindness. But I'll tell you the absolute not secret is my volunteers. They are hands down the best people you would ever love to meet. And I know other counties would like to have them, but they're ours. So we have at least 88 that are volunteers, like on the books, and twice as many, voluntold husbands and spouses that show up to make all that happen safely for the kids in the community and make it fun. So it's not me, it's definitely them.
And what's the date of the 4-H sale this year?
It's Saturday, July 25th, 26th. Is that Saturday? Third Saturday of July. And I'll save you a seat if you want to come. I invite everybody to the fair.
Wonderful.
It is wonderful.
All right. Go ahead.
I know you're very active in this area. Do you have 4-H clubs up in Augusta?
We do. Yeah. Augusta Livestock. Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
great.
There's 19 members that are in that group. They're heavy into sheep. It's run by Emily Gulick and Teresa Converse. They are fantastic volunteers.
Okay.
They work very hard. It's one of the largest organizations in that community for the kids.
And in Lincoln?
Lincoln, we had a group there. They were called Red Mountain, was the club that was there. And it dissipated. So we did go back up when we were talking with Chloe. Chloe Lindquist was able to do some SNAP education up there with them this year. And I brought them all the 4-H pencils and pens and everything. And they said, we'll get back to you. And I said, okay, I'll be here when you're ready. But we do have 21 total clubs, 16 active clubs throughout all of Lewis and Clark County. Clancy Gold Nuggets is also with us from other counties, as well as Montana City Mavericks, because they like the way that we do things. So those are big feathers in our caps that other community members around our area really like the way that we run our fair. And they want to be part of it. And we're happy to have them.
So have we had anybody from Lewis and Clark County go to National 4-H Congress?
We did. Did I tell you about that? Isla Mundinger. Adze, and I won't spell that one for you. Sorry. I could try. She went to 4-H Nationals for dog. Lori and Bill Sullivan and Shay Sullivan run our dog program. They've run it for over 16 years. And she's a junior superintendent, and she went to states, and then she competed at state level, and she went to nationals and did very well. So much so that she's now one of 11 members in the nation that's on the National 4-H Congress circuit to prepare the national 4-H programming. So she's pretty great. She's right here in your backyard. She was at the Vigilante Parade, So.
And in the past, you've had a couple more extension agents. Are you looking for some more? Or?
I would love to have one. Are you available? Can you come? I know you're busy, but yeah, the more the merrier. We would love to have a larger group. it's a lot of work, you know, and that we all work very well together. But it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of calls and things like that, and people like what we do, so word gets around.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Hunthausen.
So pigs win. That's what I've learned.
Oh,
from you.
everything wins. That's fair.
Good. But I wanted to ask Sophia a question if I could.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Because let's see, gosh, my tree's got to be 15 years old, and I got it from Extension. It's an apple tree.
Okay. Was it through the Heritage Program?
Or
was it from a DNRC conservation seedling nursery?
I don't remember.
Regardless,
it's a Sweet 16, whatever that is. But anyway, the tree's been fine and healthy, but it weirdly produces like some years nothing, and then a couple of apples, and last year it had like 4 apples, but this year just went. And I don't know if it's because of the light winter or because I'm such a good gardener, which all I do.
Because you're a great gardener.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of what people come into the office for, and I do site visits for. But just to go very briefly into science for the sake of time here, apple trees, as well as other fruit-bearing trees, are biennial bearing, which means that they naturally bear every other season. They put on as many fruits as possible so that they can get their progeny out, right, their offspring, which are those seeds. And naturally, we actually, in commercial orchards, will thin those fruits back so that they produce consistently every year. And when we do not thin them back and you provide them with all of the right nutrients and conditions, they will produce so many that next year they don't have the energy reserves to produce as many. So they kind of do a one-on, one-off year.
Wow. So this might be a big year for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's good.
Take advantage of it now because you might have a lack of fruit next year.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and I have to admit, it's probably not the best growing conditions, nor do they get the best kids get the best care, but I'm trying.
Well, apples do pretty well here with the right conditions, with the right care.
Well, thank you. Now I better ask Jane a question.
Is it going to be how to preserve those apples?
It might be. No, I was going to ask you about your adventures into the school and trying to get programs started and stuff, how that's going, the challenges you face, or
so some of
here
it
versus other I mean, because you've been around for a while. I mean, you're 39 now, right? So I think we were talking in the car at one time. We're about the same age. So
right. I'm new to Lewis and Clark County since October, but I've been with extension programs in this state since 1998.
Right.
So it's been a while. I have been in the Augusta school with a program. I thought it would maybe ease me into their school system. It's called Youth Experiences in Science. And so I was there, I want to say 2 weeks ago, and I've put messages out to administration, and I've visited with Kim, the school administrator there. So we're hoping, I thought I'd let them get to the end of the year and try to plan for fall. I'm very hopeful about the Youth Aware Mental Health Program getting into both Augusta and Lincoln schools. I'm concentrating my effort right now with Augusta because notes from in 2022 when I was with Extension in neighboring Teton County, they had requested that program there. That and we do that, across county services depending on what's near. Just as Alicia said, we have some 4-H in this county from another county and things like that. So I'm very hopeful that that program will be offered this fall.
Good.
And thanks for your great memory.
Well, not very good most of the time, but I'm trying. So.
And call if the apples really do produce.
Okay.
Because I know the USDA apple pie canning recipe is phenomenal. So following all the right instructions.
Might try some apple cider too.
Yeah. Anything else?
But thank you for the great work all of you do. It's just we're lucky here to have all 3 of you and great work you do in our community. So thank you.
It's really fun to go down at the fair and see all those exhibits and what all the what I remember when I was in high school and thereabouts, it was all just about animals, you know, and now it's expanded so much more than it used to be. And some of the exhibits you have are just totally amazing.
Yeah, Luke Duran is working with the Holter Museum. He was able to get some photography members' artwork up there. So if you'd like to swing by and see that as a sneak peek to the fair, it's open until the end of the month. He did that with the Helena Art Walk Association, so it's been up on display all month. So photography, welding, carpentry, visual arts, scrapbooking, sewing, communications day, teen leadership, all those different programs. But that also feeds into the animals. Like it's just cyclical. You know, they work together. So it's very nice. But I agree. The exhibit hall is great. The pavilion's great. And then you get to go into the BHB and the multipurpose building and see the whole breadth of it. So bring your walking shoes.
Any other questions? Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for being
thanks for the
here.
great work you do. You make a huge impact on our community. And I guess when you think of, 400 or 500 young people plus all the adults that are involved,
Yeah.
You're making a difference.
Yeah. Well, we could not do that without you. We definitely, we are very grateful to have your support. And I don't just mean financially. That's obviously wonderful. But to actually have your support is really, really beneficial to our group. And Frank is great. His team is great. Misty is great. HR, IT, anybody we call for assistance to make sure that we're getting everything that we need for our clients. It's right there. So it is a wonderful group to work with.
Anything on the finance side that we should know about?
Mr. Chair, nope, status quo budget and everything's looking good. Good reserves and everything. Good CIP. We're on to another good year.
Yep.
I know you replace the vehicles every once in a while.
Whenever Frank tells us to.
Yes.
Otherwise, we just maintain them.
They don't have their CIP is not very big. They have vehicles. They have a few other small items that they utilize. But I think this year the only biggest
thing. The scale is all set. Yeah.
The scale. Yeah. But
yeah,
it's a well-funded reserve. It's protected, and they do a really good job managing it. There's no forcing or bending of arms to rebuy a vehicle. Usually you guys I don't know how many miles you put on them, but they don't
go hog wild.
They don't replace them very often. So looking very good.
Great. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, next one up is MBAC. Did you just put it out there? Okay.
Mr. Chair, we have notified them that things were running ahead of schedule. We're hoping that they will be able to show up a little early. So just keep an eye out for them. Hopefully they'll be here soon.
All right. Well, we'll take a little bit of a break, and as soon as they show up, we'll get in the middle of it. You're last on our agenda today. So who's going to make the presentation here? All right, come on up and introduce everybody and
Well, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Catherine Anderson, Katherine, Anderson, Anderson. I'm with Montana Business Assistance Connection. We are the Helena Area Economic Development Org. And I am joined today by several of my colleagues, Mark Menke, Carlos Joaquin, and Charmaine Kaminsky. I want to start off by just thanking the county for your continued partnership and your continued support. We really value the relationship and opportunity to support economic and community development efforts throughout our region. And today we are requesting continued membership support from Lewis and Clark County in the amount of $25,000, which is the same amount we requested last year. At MBAC, our work is guided in part by our Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or our CEDS. You have a poorly printed handout in front of you that is our Lewis and Clark County and regional priority areas. Over the past year, we've continued to make very strong progress in a lot of our action areas throughout the region. I'll be highlighting just a few, but we do quite a bit more than what I'll be listing. On our community development side, we have led and supported a number of strategic planning and technical assistance projects, including work with the Ming Theater and Helena Symphony, looking at adaptive reuse and potential fundraising to support the rehab of that building. We also are in the middle of our East Helena Community Review, which is a strategic planning process that occurs in communities that are experiencing rapid growth and change. We just completed our phase one. Our phase one report is on our website, and that is a very community-led, intentional process that really looks to understand what are the drivers, the priorities, and the opportunities in those communities. We also have been working quite a bit with the Lincoln community. We had applied for a Lincoln Community Tourism Grant last in January, so Q1 of this year, and we continue to work with the community on community facilitation, funding opportunities, and just continuing momentum to support them. We do quite a bit in the Brownsfield environmental assessment space. We have been putting in quite a few targeted Brownsfield assessment grants, including most recently one with the Archie Bray Foundation, looking at their brick factory. We also had the opportunity to host our State Association, Montana Economic Developers Association, MEDA, spring conference at the Heritage Center. We brought over 100 local, state, federal professionals to Helena, and we're able to showcase our community, our businesses, our partners. We also continue to support tourism development and wayfinding initiatives in partnership with the Chamber and our Vision Helena group. And we're specifically looking at wayfinding and connection between downtown Helena and the Capitol complex, and looking at promotion efforts for our new Heritage Museum. In addition, over the last year, MBAC has supported regionally 50 new businesses, 88 existing businesses, and provided a lot of technical support in addition to that. On the business attraction front, our team remains highly active in business attraction efforts. We work closely with the State of Montana, Department of Commerce, on key recruitment, expansion opportunities, et cetera, throughout the region. On our lending side, we continue to provide gap financing and lending opportunities that help businesses and move projects forward. Some specific and industry-specific loan funds we've been promoting over the past year and will continue to promote, including our Tourism Revolving Loan Fund, which we received last year from the Department of Commerce. The Bell Hotel, which is our new boutique hotel opening up by Carol, was one of the first recipients of those funds. We also will be handling the underwriting and collaborating with DEQ to support the Multifamily Energy Retrofit Loan Program, or MERL, which provides low-interest financing for energy efficiency improvements in existing multifamily affordable housing properties. An exciting development since September of last year is we brought the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, back in-house. Carlos Joaquin is our SBDC Executive Director, and this program was previously at Helena College. It has been back at MBAC since September of last year. Since joining MBAC in September, Carlos has expanded significantly our client outreach and project development efforts. He has hosted 8 educational training events with more than 52 attendees and has served 74 clients throughout the region so far. And that is just a few of our efforts in the last year, but I'll move on to some of the things that we plan to continue to work on in connection with our SEDS and our strategic planning processes. We continue to work on workforce and career pathway development with our 2-year institutions, including Helena College. We're looking to strengthen workforce development efforts, promote career pathways, reduce brain drain, and improve industry awareness and opportunities for students and young professionals. We're putting a big focus on impact storytelling this year, which is specifically as it relates to showcasing the impact, success stories, and programmatic outcomes of our key collaborations, including Lewis and Clark County and our key funders. We plan to be doing a lot of strategic planning and redevelopment efforts, continuing to work with EPA, the KSU TAB program, and Brownsfield to support adaptive reuse, revitalization in our downtown core and throughout the county. We will also be putting additional focus on strategic planning efforts to support livability and amenity development, both of which are key components to business attraction and employee retention. We have funding to support an arts market study, which builds on our previous art space and arts-related connectivity studies, and we will be implementing that in the next year. We continue to support entrepreneurship and startup support, not only through the SBDC Center in our office, but we have hopes to relaunch our Accelerate Montana Startup Program, which we managed in 2019 and 2020 in collaboration with the Chamber. And this is a program that is specifically designed to support entrepreneurs and startup businesses and move them into their next stage. We continue to work in the tourism and amenity development space, specifically as it relates to promoting the new museum and promoting our tourism-related financing opportunities. We also recognize the importance of arts, culture, and community amenities in supporting economic vitality and quality of life, and continue partnering with organizations that strengthen those assets. And finally, housing, childcare, workforce continue to be big issues that we look to address. We continue to work with Habitat for Humanity and other housing stakeholders throughout the region to support attainable housing development efforts and partnerships. We are also continuing to support efforts to support childcare and other key industries that are essential elements in supporting employee attraction and retention in the county. Thank you for your time and your partnership and your continued support of MBAC and economic development efforts throughout the county. That was kind of a quick summary of what we've done. As I said, we do a lot, and I had to kind of be cognizant of your time. So I'm happy to answer any questions or expand on any of those or other projects as you would like. Thank you.
Questions from anybody? Commissioner Payne.
Of course I have questions. I'm not generally a numbers person, but everybody else today has shown us one of these, which I think is known as a spreadsheet. And it has a lot to do with our budgeting, and particularly I'm not good with numbers and I get confused easily. And therefore, if I can see something like this, it really helps me sort of. Could you provide us with a spreadsheet showing where your money went? Is that something we can?
Absolutely. I'm sure we could provide something that shows how the county's contribution had impact in the region.
Okay. Now, another question.
Sure.
Well, it can't have been too long ago. Say 3 years ago, in Lincoln, MBAC was supporting the I believe I thought of it as the sausage factory. I don't think that's quite the right name.
High Country Beef Jerky.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And as support of that, we were given ARPA money. Federal, it was a gift. And we contributed that to bring 3 or 4 prefab houses from and up into Lincoln so that the workforce for the sausage factory would have a place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the sausage factory is no longer operational, and I'm just wondering what's become of that housing?
Yes, Commissioner Payne, I have Charmaine Kaminsky here, specifically prepped to answer that question for you.
I'm so glad.
Hi, Commissioners. Charmaine Kaminsky, CHARMAYNE, Kaminsky, KAMINSKI.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Commissioner Payne. I was totally ready for this. So we do have, so these are workforce units. So even if the High Country is no longer operational, then we still have workforce for the county and things like, and it's still being managed by the current owners. It's under Copper Pines is the LLC. We have a covenant in place for workforce housing for 5 years, and that will mature at the beginning of 2027. I don't remember the exact date. And so that's still in place. 2 of the units have leases on them. 1 of them is currently not occupied.
Could you say that again?
1 of the units is currently not occupied. 2 of the units have existing leases in place.
And are people living there?
Yes.
Okay. When you say the beginning of 2027, that's like 6 months from now?
Yes. That's when the covenant is.
And then the leases with the 2 that are actually occupied, those leases will be done?
I don't have the specifics on the lease terms, but I do know that they do have leases on those 2 properties.
Okay. Is there sufficient housing need up there that those homes will continue to be occupied, benefiting our workforce in Lincoln?
I am unfamiliar with the housing needs of Lincoln. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner.
And Andy will bail you out here.
No, I'm not bailing her out, but I just wanted to make comment to this because I think the ARPA money and the covenant that was put on it just means that for those first 5 years, it would be
Restricted
to be used in this case. But the full intention was that after that was done, the owner would obviously still want to rent those properties. I guess could sell the properties, but in the long term, what we wanted was to create more housing in Lincoln. And so whether they're sold, rented, whatever they're going to be doing after that 5-year covenant, they still provided 3 more living units in Lincoln for workforce and families. So that was the intent long term, but the first 5 years was to keep them as workforce housing.
Yes.
I
and
can't remember all the.
It was affordable. They also had to be
affordable.
within a certain range. Rent
Right.
couldn't be more than a certain percentage of the county income in the area.
Right.
Maybe somebody from our sheriff's department could rent one.
There you go.
They're always trying to get people up there and having trouble finding a place for them to live.
Well, we have an empty unit. Send them
There
on
we go.
over.
There we go. Any more word on the sausage factory, on the places where but I'm sure you're working through that.
We are. It's with the attorneys right now. And as there's more updates, we'll be sure to pass them along on how that's all going.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Other questions?
I'm just going to call it a jerky plant though myself, but you guys, whatever you want to call it.
Jerky.
I actually don't think they make any sausage.
Yeah.
They have like the sausage casings and the seasoning for sausage, but they don't make the sausages themselves there.
Could have gotten by with maybe even a dog food factory now.
There you go.
Oh yeah. They produce dog food there as well.
That's right. You don't have to have any kind of special what health inspector? USDA
Okay.
then.
It is a USD inspected facility.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that you'd like to add?
Not at the moment.
All right. We appreciate what you're doing. It seems like you're in the middle of a lot of great activities that make a difference in our community. And I think that we'd like to see it continue and want to be a part of it.
Thank you. I know we all appreciate your support.
All right. Anything else?
I just wanted to point out the old timer that seems to be back in your gang.
Mr. Minke,
Back
yes.
there. Hello, Mark. Good to see you. Thanks for your service and in so many ways for us. So.
You bet. All right. Wonderful. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much, commissioners.
All right. Anything that I should ask? I should just ask Frank, have you got anything?
Mr. Chair, nope, I don't have anything else to add to their presentation. They did a really good job. Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, we usually, as we get kind of wrapped up here, we always make an opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
Mark should say something. He made it all the way in here. He almost got lost wandering around. Well, you could introduce the new guy. Bring the new guy up and introduce him so we can torture him for a while.
Yeah.
Employee Carlos Joaquin.
Introduce yourself, Mark.
I'm a little bio.
Mark, get in front of the microphone.
I'm
Introduce
Mark
yourself.
Menke.
We have to do it according to law.
I'm kind of helping out around and back these days, and happy to be back, and glad I'm given the opportunity. So good to see all you guys again. And
all right,
my plan is to work myself out of a job, so I'm just going to still try to stay as retired as I can. So otherwise, it's good to see all you guys again.
Carlos, would
still
you like
active
to?
at the fairgrounds too, by the way. So
you bet.
We've got an exciting new project out there, the playground. So
very good.
It's coming.
Hello, everybody.
Tell us a little bit about your background, Carlos.
Sure. Do I have to spell my name? Okay, Carlos Joaquin is my name. My background is I came to Helena 8 years ago, And about 3 years ago, I got involved with Leadership Helena in the chamber. And since then, I've been really working with people in the community a lot. And right before this role, which is SBDC Regional Director, not Executive Director, not yet. You gave me a promotion, Catherine. Thank you. Right before this role, I was doing business development and employee development at Alpha Graphics. And before that, I was doing learning and development at Rocky Mountain Credit Union. So I've been in this role since September. I really love it. I get to work with a ton of different clients and in all stages of small business development.
Wonderful. Wonderful. It sounds like great background to be doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
You bet.
Appreciate the support.
You bet. We we usually, at the end of our meetings, whenever we're done with all the proceedings, we always make it an open invitation for anybody that would like to make a comment on any item that is not on the current agenda, but something that is under the purview of the county commission. We always want to make it available. Is there any public comment? Does anyone have any public comment? There being none, we're adjourned.